Chapter 353. Baby, I'm really blessed to have met you. For you, I'm willing to soar to the heavens to pluck the moon and dive into the oceans to catch turtles, my God. The more this guy speaks, the more ridiculous he gets. What do you mean by, soar to the heavens to pluck the moon? Why don't you soar to the heavens and dive into the oceans to catch turtles? Why don't you just dive into the sea and kiss turtles? A second ago, Lin Jiej was criticizing the words of the man sitting in front of him in his heart, but in the next second, the woman sitting beside the man suddenly leaned forward and kissed him. Then, with a reddened face, she said shyly, "Me too. I'm really blessed to have met you. When we graduate from university, I want to marry you. I want to bear your children." Lin Jiej's fingers, which were tapping on the keyboard, suddenly trembled. He raised his head and looked at the couple in front of him. The girl's head was slightly tilted to the side, and he could barely see her expression. Her face was brimming with happiness and excitement, as if she had the entire world in her hands. The girl wasn't exactly beautiful, but at this moment, Lin Jiej found her to be exceptionally dazzling. So, all girls like guys to say these superficial, glib-tongued, sweet words. What about soft bun? Does she like it too? Coincidentally, just as Lin Jiej was thinking this, the phone on the table lit up. He picked up his phone and saw that it was a message from the Sexy and Frisky group. Tapping into it, Zhang Xian realized that Yao Loves Ice Cream had sent everyone a screenshot. It was a screenshot of PlayerUnknown's Battleground, and she had killed 2 people. Shortly after Lin Jiej looked at the screenshot, Yao Loves Ice Cream sent him a new message. "Even though I didn't manage to get the chicken dinner, I still managed to avenge my teammates by killing the 2 people who killed them. Even though the 2 of them were at critical health and I only fired a shot randomly, I'm still really happy. Oh, ___. Oh, juice, awesome, sis Yao is the best." Yao Loves Ice Cream instantly replied with a happy emoji. Expert of the monkeys, awesome, sis Yao is invincible. Yao Loves Ice Cream instantly replied to expert with a laughing emoticon. Lin Jiej stared at the group chat for a moment before he racked his brain to come up with a compliment that he could think of and hit send. 111,111, amazing, the future sniper goddess. Yao Loves Ice Cream. Wow, the god is actually praising me. How cheerful. Yao Loves Ice Cream. Send over a sending hearts emoji. Yao Loves Ice Cream. Send over a hugging emoji. Hearts. Hugs. To think that Soft Bun actually gave him a heart and gave him a hug. Looking at the red heart on the screen and the 2 chubby bunnies hugging each other, Lin Jiej couldn't help but blush in embarrassment. It turned out that Soft Bun liked people praising her too. However, she had replied to him with 3 messages. It wasn't good for him to ignore her, right? Lin Jiej pondered for a moment before tapping into the emoticons. After scrolling through the emoticons for a while, he found a rose emoticon and sent it over. After that, he found a hug emoticon and sent it over. After sending the 2 emojis, the redness on his face silently spread all the way to his neck. Chapter 354. In that instant, Lin Jiej suddenly felt that the few hours he had spent in the Library of Heaven's Path wasn't his greatest harvest tonight. His greatest harvest tonight was the couple in front of him. No, to be more precise, it was the glib words of the man in front of him. By the time Lin Jiej returned to his dormitory room, it was already 11 at night. After taking a shower, Lin Jiej got straight onto his bed. As he read on, he suddenly recalled the words his French teacher had said to him after he had Xiuyao take a seat during his afternoon French lesson. If you were given a choice to choose someone in this world to climb the highest mountain with you, drink the strongest wine, travel to the furthest territory, ride the longest train, ride the tallest Ferris wheel, enjoy the most beautiful night scenery, wait for the sunrise and sunset, and challenge the impossible between the two of you. Do you know who you would choose? Actually, he wasn't too sure whether the French teacher was asking him to translate or answer the question, so he asked in French. Translate. The French teacher shook his head and told him to answer the question. Lin Jiege nodded, and after 3 seconds of silence, he replied, "If I were given such a choice, I know who I would choose." The French teacher's gaze, which had been fixed on him, suddenly turned to Shi Yao and asked, "Who is it?" Lin Jiege remained silent. Instead of getting angry, the French teacher continued, "I have a rough idea who it is, but can I ask you if my guess is right? Is it the person I just saw and the person you just texted?" Without any hesitation, he nodded his head and replied, "Yes," after which, he paused for a moment before adding, "It's her." Perhaps it was due to the French people's love for romance, but from the French teacher's words, he could tell that the latter had seen through his cheating act of sending a message to Shi Yao. However, the French teacher didn't punish him. Instead, after he replied to the message, he smiled and invited him to take a seat. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiege put down his phone and flipped over to face the wall. He stared unblinkingly at the wall for a long time. Then, a sentence appeared in his mind. "I want to climb the highest mountain with you and drink the strongest wine. I want to travel to the furthest territory with you and ride the longest train. I want to ride the tallest Ferris wheel with you and enjoy the most beautiful night scenery. I want to wait for the sunrise and sunset with you, and then challenge all the impossible between you and me. I want to have a class with you, sitting side by side. I want to eat with you and interact intimately in the cafeteria. I want to go to the library with you, reading, writing and whispering sweet nothings. I want to be with you. I want to be with you. As long as it's you, I'm willing to do anything together. As long as it's you, Shi Yao." As these words surfaced in Lin Jiege's mind, his heart began to beat faster for some reason. He had never felt such a strong need for someone or something like this before. It was the kind of intense desire that he wished he could have immediately. Lin Jiege pursed his lips as he stared intently at the wall for a long while before he suddenly spoke up, "I've made up my mind." Lu Benlai and Xie Shangzhou also got onto the bed one after another. Hearing Lin Jiege's words, the two of them quickly sat up and asked in unison, "Boss, what have you thought of?" Lin Jiege didn't respond to their words. He continued staring at the white wall in front of him for a while longer before turning his head to look at Lu Benlai and Xie Shangzhou. Chapter 355. Lin Jiege didn't respond to their words. He continued staring at the white wall in front of him for a while before he turned to Lu Benlai and Xie Shangzhou and said, "I've decided to be with her." Xie Shangzhou immediately chimed in, "You've decided to be with who? Who and who and who?" Lu Benlai glanced at Xie Shangzhou from the corner of his eyes. "Grandson sure is a grandson. Is there even a need to ask such a worrying question? Even if you think with your toes, it's obvious that it's little Junior." Xie Shangzhou said, "My grandson's body structure is truly extraordinary. His head grows in his toes. Also, what if it's me instead of little Junior? Boss might just fall for me. If that's the case, I'll be able to coexist with my bank account." Lu Benlai rolled his eyes in disdain, "Boss, there's something wrong with my grandson's head and his body. He even forgot to take his medicine today. Please don't hold it against him." Facing Lu Benlai and Xie Shangzhou's mischievous conversation, Lin Jiege remained calm and composed. Even his tone was flat as he said, "I've made up my mind. I want to be with her." Lu Benlai had always been a good talker. "Haven't the two of you always been together?" Xie Shangzhou didn't back down at all. "That's right, boss. Haven't the two of you been together even before you were born?" There's nothing wrong with what he said, but other than the betrothal between him and Soft Bun, there didn't seem to be any other substantial relationship between them. This is called. You're beautiful on the outside, but you only know how you feel. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej's desire to carry out the decision he had just made grew stronger. No, what I mean is that, other than the fact that I've been together with Yao Yao even before she was born, I want to have a deeper relationship with her. Lu Benlai, how deep? I know. Xie Shangzhou volunteered. Roughly 3 seconds later, he replied with an "oh," before adding in a dejected tone, I don't think I know how long boss is, Lu Benlai, old Xia. I didn't expect you to be such a veteran. But driving late at night sure is exciting. Boss, I support you. I'll use a month's worth of condoms to express my sincerity. Xie Shangzhou, the heck. Grandson sure knows how to take advantage of others. Then I can only support the money of the old hotel. However, my funds are limited, so boss, I can only use one night's hotel fee to express my sincerity. My God. What the hell are these two talking about? Lin Jiej cleared his throat and interrupted their thoughts. Filthy. The deeper relationship I am talking about, I want Yao Yao to be my fiancé. Lu Benlai, is there any difference from what we said? Xie Shangzhou replied, there's no difference. Isn't it still necessary to have intimate contact to become a real fiancé? Did these two guys grow up in a vat of yellow dye? To put it simply, I'm going to confess to Soft Bun. Lin Jiej couldn't take it anymore. Confess, do you understand? I'm not as shallow as you think. I understand, but, normally, after confessing, don't we still have to go to the hotel? At that time, won't we still have to have intimate contact? Xie Shangzhou nodded with a look of understanding. So, little Lai Lai, there's going to be another man in dorm 501. Chapter 356. Xie Shangzhou, who had been stabbed in the back for no reason, immediately exploded in anger. Do you know how to talk, grandson? If you don't know how to speak properly, just fart. Even your fart sounds better than your words. Lu Benlai, I'm just speaking the truth. Think about it, Song Chaoshi will bring his wife, I'll bring my wife, boss will bring little junior, and you'll be all alone, Xie Shangzhou, so what if I'm all alone? If all of you get married, I'll be the tyrant of room 501. Lu Benlai, TSK, are you sure you're the tyrant and not the tyrant? Xie Shangzhou, what do you know? There's a saying that goes, only those who eat the best of the best will be the king of the dogs, or tyrant for short. Woof woof woof. Now, I finally understand the saying, the most despicable man is invincible. Lu Benlai slapped his forehead as he turned to Lin Jiej and changed the topic. Boss, have you thought of how you should confess to little junior? I haven't. Lin Jiej shook his head. That's why I'm here to ask you. Xie Shangzhou, this. I haven't confessed before either. Why don't we ask Song Chaoshi instead? After all, he already had a girlfriend in his first year. Without any hesitation, Lin Jiej rejected the idea. Song Chaoshi isn't reliable. When Song Chaoshi was still in his first year, he went out with his current girlfriend, and the two of them drank a little too much. They made a bet, and one of them said, do you believe that I won't sleep with you? And the other said, if you're so awesome, come and sleep with me. After that, the two of them ended up sleeping together, and after that, they ended up together. This clearly didn't fit the image of him and Soft Bun. Xie Shangzhou, that's true. Song Chaoshi clearly slept with her first before developing feelings for her. Boss, how are you going to confess? I know. Lu Benlai volunteered excitedly as he tapped on his phone. We'll have to rely on those novels I've read for now. I've saved the most classic confession scenes in those novels. Boss, listen carefully, I'll read them to you. In For Bringing the Nation's Husband Home, the male lead brings the female lead back to their school and confesses on the field. The male lead gets a lot of colorful lights and a very valuable diamond ring. The male lead in Back Then I Liked You confessed in his backyard. He made a lot of balloons, and under each balloon, there was a sentence of love. The male lead even put a ring in his mouth, and when he kissed the female lead, he sent it into her mouth. In A Billion Stars Can't Amount to You, it was the female lead who confessed to the male lead. But I think it can be used in reverse. After the female lead received the award, she stood on the stage of the award ceremony and confessed to the male lead. She said something like, "I don't want this world, I only want you. There's also, to my love the most." When the male lead was confessing, he took out all the photos of him and the female lead from when they were young. He even used a helicopter to scatter rose petals. Liu Benlai rattled on for a very long time, and when he was finally done, he said, "Boss, take your pick. Once you're done, leave the rest to me. I'll use them when I confess to my wife." Chapter 357. Xie Shangzhou, I think the first one is not bad, I like it. Liu Benlai, I prefer the fourth one. Romance. Xie Shangzhou, but the third one isn't bad either. It's a confession for the whole world to hear, how touching. Liu Benlai, if that's the case, the second option is great as well. Just the thought of having so many romantic words hanging on a balloon is truly wonderful. Xie Shangzhou turned to Lin Jiege and asked, "So, boss, which one will you choose?" A hint of disdain flashed across Lin Jiege's eyes. "I won't choose either of them." Liu Benlai, "Aw. Boss, aren't you going to confess to Little Junior? How are you going to confess if you don't choose?" "I do want to confess, but how can I confess to Soft Bun in the manner of someone else's confession?" As Lin Jiege said those words, a hint of arrogance and haughtiness crept into his eyes. Soft Bun is one of a kind, so everything that she possesses should be one of a kind in this world as well. So, I'll have to figure out how to confess to Soft Bun myself. This is my way of showing my sincerity. Not only that, I want my confession to be prettier than what Xiao Lai Lai just said. After saying those words, Lin Jiege tossed out a "Forget it, it's pointless to ask you. I'll just have to ask you when I get back." After which, he lay back down on his bed and placed his hands behind his head. Staring at the ceiling, he began to contemplate the confession scene. Shuyao didn't have any lessons on Tuesday afternoon. After lunch, Shuyao returned to her dormitory room and rested for half an hour. As soon as she opened her eyes, she received a message from less than 111,111 asking her to play. While Jiang Yu and Leng Wan were watching a movie, Tian Tian was still in the dormitory room, watching her Korean dramas with her earphones on. Since there was nothing much to do in the afternoon, Shuyao accepted Mr. Number's invitation, logged into the game, and entered the room he had shared with her. When he first started playing the game, it wasn't much different from usual. The two of them had the voice chat on, so they could hear each other's voices, but they did not talk. On the third game, Shuyao followed Mr. Numbers and parachuted down. As soon as they landed, Shuyao entered a room nearby. In this round, her luck was off the charts. She actually encountered 2 level 3 Spetsnaz helmets in that room. After picking up a level 3 Spetsnaz helmet, she called out to 111111, "I have an extra level 3 Spetsnaz helmet here. Do you want it? He's here." As soon as Mr. Numbers said those words, Shuyao heard the sound of glass shattering, and Mr. Numbers appeared right in front of her. After picking up the level 3 Spetsnaz helmet, Mr. Numbers headed to another room to loot the loot. After checking out the rest of the rooms that she hadn't been to before, she moved on to the next room. It was as if she had been blessed by the system. In the next few rooms, she found 2 8x scopes. As per usual, Shiryao passed an 8x scope to Mr. Numbers. Shortly after Shiryao and Lin Jiej entered the third safe zone, Shiryao found a tree that she thought was a safe spot to hide behind, but in the next second, an airdrop crate landed right in front of her. Was she hit in the face by an airdrop? Shiryao opened the airdrop crate and found an intact level 3 helmet, level 3 armor, and AWM bullets inside. The AWM was the best sniper rifle in the game. Chapter 358. After entering the final circle, Mr. Numbers abandoned his car and led Shiryao into the circle on foot. Shiryao often thought that she was running behind Mr. Numbers, but the truth was that she was running in the opposite direction. As such, every time such a situation occurred, Shiryao would need Mr. Numbers' reminder before she would realize what was going on and change her direction to run toward him. Running around in the final circle made it very easy for others to notice her, so Shiryao would often end up getting shot while running toward Mr. Numbers. Each time, Mr. Numbers would be the one to save her. Due to the fact that they were playing in 2 rows, Mr. Numbers would always have to face 2 opponents at once. Even though his marksmanship was excellent, it was inevitable that he would be hit. Thus, by the time they entered the second last circle, Mr. Numbers' armor and level 3 helmet had already been destroyed. The defenseless, 111,111, casually remarked that he had lost his helmet and armor a second ago, and in the next second, an airdrop fell right beside the flustered Shiryao, who was lying in the bushes. Without any hesitation, Shiryao opened the airdrop and said to Mr. Numbers, "There's an intact level 3 helmet and armor here." Mr. Numbers, who had been standing beside her, quickly came over and picked up the level 3 helmet and armor. After which, he led Shiryao into the final circle. After which, Shiryao hid behind a huge boulder and quietly watched as Mr. Numbers killed 6 players in the final circle, successfully leading them to the chicken dinner. Even though Shiryao only dealt 10 damage and 0 kills in this round, she still couldn't help but boast to Mr. Numbers, who had killed 21 players and dealt over 2,000 damage, "Have you realized that my existence is still very valuable?" Valuable. Soon, Mr. Numbers' voice sounded in her earpiece. "Are you sure that your existence is valuable?" Shiryao paused for a moment before Mr. Numbers' voice sounded in her ears once more. "Oh, there is. Is there a tiny bit of value in dealing 10 damage?" Shiryao pouted her lips and replied indignantly, "What are you talking about? My value isn't just a tiny bit. You should know that I'm the one who gave you the best equipment in this round and the items that you lack. Even if you didn't give them to me, I could still lead you to the chicken dinner." Mr. Numbers seemed to be drinking water. After a few gulps, he spoke up once more. "The reason why you exist is to expose my location." For a moment, Shiryao couldn't make sense of what was going on. She took down the apple that she was about to stuff into her mouth and replied with a "huh, huh." However, Lin Jiej didn't think too much into it. As he continued playing the game, he slowly replied, "What I mean is that I don't even know how to follow behind someone to escape from the blue circle. I keep running around aimlessly, and if someone were to find me, my position would be exposed." Originally, he wanted to say, "I can't see the value of your existence, but I can clearly see that you're a burden," but before he could finish his words, he suddenly stopped. Last night in the library, he had learned a new skill from the male couple in front of him. Soft bun loved to be praised. He hadn't been paying attention earlier, and it seemed like he had accidentally used a venomous tongue again. Lin Jiej cursed himself for his cheap mouth. Then, he began to think of a way to salvage the situation. Roughly 2 seconds later, he spoke up without any hesitation. "But I like the feeling of being the center of attention. It's all thanks to you that I can enjoy this feeling." Chapter 359. Aw. Why does it feel like there's something wrong with this situation? Based on past experiences, shouldn't Mr. Numbers' words be even more vicious? Munching on her apple, Shiryao pondered for a few seconds before asking doubtfully, but, wasn't that what you said about me earlier? As she spoke, she imitated 111,111's tone and repeated what he had said earlier. Value? Are you sure that your existence is valuable? Oh, there is. Is there a tiny bit of value in dealing 10 damage? After correcting his mistake, Lin Jiej secretly praised himself for his quick reflexes before heaving a sigh of relief and picking up his cup of water. But barely after he took a sip of water, he heard Shi Yao's voice, and he nearly choked on his drink. Before he could react, he had said something that he shouldn't have said. Lin Jiej rolled his eyes before putting down his cup of water and replying, "You're right. I did say those words earlier, but there's something wrong with your choice of words. That's what I said earlier, value. Are you sure that your existence is valuable? Oh, there is. Is there a tiny bit of value in dealing 10 damage? However, before I could finish my second sentence, you interrupted me. There's still half of what I said, and that is, you must be joking. You're clearly valuable." This time, before Shi Yao could find fault with his words, Lin Jiej took the initiative to explain, "As for what I said, even if you don't give it to me, I can still carry you to the chicken dinner. What I meant was that you only need to keep the good equipment for yourself and protect yourself. It doesn't matter whether I have any equipment or not. Even if I'm at a critical point, as long as you give me a gun and bullets, I can still carry you to the chicken dinner." On the other end of the game, Shi Yao, who had never heard Mr. Numbers speak so much on her phone, couldn't help but stop munching on her apple and frown. Why did she feel that there was something wrong with the situation? This was especially so when Mr. Numbers was speaking earlier. Why did she feel that he was acting like a lackey and trying to please her? With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao asked doubtfully, Why do I feel that there's something wrong with you? Did I? 111,111's voice came from the earpiece. Her voice was as beautiful and elegant as ever. However, Shi Yao could sense that Mr. Numbers' voice was a little tense, as if he was wary of something. Shi Yao was just about to reply with a yes, but before she could say anything, her phone suddenly rang. It was a call from the express delivery company, asking her to go downstairs immediately to pick up the package. Other than buying a gift bag of snacks online last night, she hadn't bought anything else recently. Moreover, she had just gone to take a look at the gift bag of snacks. It hadn't been delivered yet. Perplexed, Shi Yao hung up the call and walked out of the dormitory room. At the same time, she sent a private message to less than 111,111 on WeChat, "I'm heading downstairs to pick up a package." Mr. Numbers' reply was very concise. There was only a single word to it, "Oh." Shi Yao didn't send him any more messages. Instead, she put away her phone and ran down the stairs. The delivery box was huge. While Shi Yao was signing her name, she took a look at the delivery slip, but other than her address, there was no other information at all. This made her even more doubtful. Chapter 360. As soon as Shi Yao returned to her dormitory room, she immediately tore open the package, and what she saw shocked her. It was filled with clothes. He Tian happened to be coming out from the toilet, and upon seeing the huge box of clothes, she immediately exclaimed in envy, "Whoa, Yao Yao, did you win the lottery? You actually bought such a huge box of clothes." Shi Yao shook her head. "I didn't buy it." "Aw. If you didn't buy it, who did?" He Tian said as she took a look at the tag on one of the clothes. "These clothes aren't cheap, and they're in your size too. Yao Yao, tell me honestly, is there a super-rich second-generation heir courting you recently?" Perplexed, Shi Yao didn't respond to He Tian's question. Instead, she flipped through the clothes from top to bottom, and at the very bottom of the box, she saw a card. Perplexed, Shi Yao opened the card and saw a line of flamboyant words on it. "I bought you clothes, Lin Jiej. HM. You actually want a card? What's written on it? As he Tian spoke, she inched closer to Shi Yao out of curiosity. But before she could get a good look at the words on the card, Shi Yao had already tossed the card aside and picked up her phone to send a message to Lin Jiege. Why did you buy clothes for me? Perhaps it was because Lin Jiege's phone was right beside him. Shi Yao soon received his reply. You asked for it. When did I ask for clothes for you? Yesterday. Yesterday. Shi Yao frowned. She was just about to ask him when he did it yesterday, but before she could touch her phone screen, she suddenly recalled the words she had said to Lin Jiege during the French lesson yesterday. If you can't stand it, you can either look away or buy clothes for me. He couldn't possibly have taken her words seriously, could he? Shi Yao paused for 2 seconds before replying, French lesson yesterday. Lin Jiege, It really was as she thought. Shi Yao didn't know whether she should laugh or cry. During the French lesson yesterday, I casually replied to you because you said that my clothes were ugly. It wasn't from the bottom of my heart. Lin Jiege, I know. Shi Yao. Shi Yao, if you knew, why did you still buy clothes for me? Lin Jiege, apologize. Alright, even if what he said yesterday was too much and he should apologize, there was no need to apologize like this, right? Shi Yao grumbled inwardly for a moment before she typed out a reply. I accept your apology, but I can't accept your clothes. I have to return them to you. Lin Jiege imitated the 3 exclamation marks Shi Yao had sent earlier and replied. Lin Jiege, are you intending to make me wear it? Shi Yao. Shi Yao, you can choose to return it. Lin Jiege, it's too troublesome. Too much trouble. Returning the money you've spent. Is there anyone who finds it troublesome? Shi Yao was just about to reply to Lin Jiege and ask him to return the shopping tickets to her, but before she could even type a single word, another notification popped up on her phone. Lin Jiege, I don't have the habit of collecting money that I've already spent, so you can either keep the clothes or throw them into the trash can. Shi Yao fell silent for a moment before replying, thank you then. Lin Jiege didn't reply. Shi Yao put down her phone. Seeing that Shi Yao was no longer busy, he Tian leaned over and asked mysteriously, Yao Yao, tell me the truth. Have you made any progress with Senior Lin? Chapter 361. You're lying. Senior Lin bought so many clothes for you, there's no way that there's nothing going on between you two. He Tian said as if Shi Yao was hiding something from her. Halfway through her words, she suddenly thought of something and paused. A moment later, she spoke up once more. Yao Yao, if what you said is true, and there's no new progress between you and Senior Lin, does that mean that Senior Lin has fallen in love with you? This time, Shi Yao's denial was much more resolute than before, no. After denying it, Shi Yao denied it once more, and this time, her tone was even more resolute and firm. There's no way that he would fall in love with me. He Tian, why? Shi Yao didn't say a word, but the vicious words that Lin Jiege had said to her when they were young kept flashing through her mind. She pursed her lips and climbed back onto her bed silently. He Tian could vaguely sense Shi Yao's displeasure, so she didn't pursue the matter any further. The dormitory room suddenly fell silent. Roughly half a minute later, Shi Yao broke the silence. Compared to before, her tone was much gentler. Tian, are you busy? He Tian shook her head, I'm not. Shi Yao stared at the box filled with clothes on the table for a moment before asking, then, can you calculate the total price of that box of clothes for me? He Tian asked in bewilderment. A moment later, she seemed to have understood something, and she asked, you, calculate the total price. Are you going to return the money to Senior Lin? Shi Yao nodded and replied with a light He Tian instinctively opened her mouth to ask why, but recalling Shi Yao's earlier reaction, she quickly swallowed the words back down. As a friend, there were some things that she shouldn't ask if she didn't want to say. With such thoughts in mind, He Tian nodded with a smile. Sure, wait for me. I'll calculate it for you right away. Thank you. Shi Yao smiled at He Tian before turning her head to look out the window. Usually, the snacks that Lin Jiege gave her were given to him by other girls. If she didn't eat them, he would just throw them away. However, these clothes were different. He had specially bought them for her as an apology. Even though they were friends now, these things were far too valuable. This chest of clothes was worth at least 5 digits, so she couldn't accept it. It was just like how Grandpa Lin usually gave her some expensive things and pocket money. She didn't touch them, because she knew that she would have to return them to him after the engagement was annulled. Over the phone just now, she could tell there was no way she was going to return the clothes, so she didn't continue to argue with him. What she was thinking was that when they broke off their engagement, she would pay him back along with the money for the clothes. With this thought in mind, Shi Yao blinked her eyes in confusion. What was wrong with He Tian earlier? Why did she suddenly say that Lin Jiege liked her? How could this be? At the very most, the current Lin Jiege probably didn't hate her. As for liking her, based on what Liang Mumu had told her in the past, the girls who had even the slightest relationship with him were all from prestigious clans, beautiful, well-educated, and well-matched with him. No matter how she thought about it, Shi Yao felt that the probability of Lin Jiege liking her was 0. This was like the sun rising from the west, the sky falling pies, and money lying on the ground to spend. It didn't exist. Chapter 362. Yao Yao. Yao Yao. He Tian called out Shi Yao's name a few times before Shi Yao finally snapped out of her daze. She turned to look at He Tian, and it took her a moment to realize that she was the one who had asked He Tian for help. She quickly asked, "Is it done?" The price is written on this piece of paper." Shi Yao thanked He Tian as she took the piece of paper from He Tian's hands. She quickly scanned through it before folding it up and placing it under her pillow. It was only after this brief interlude that Shi Yao suddenly remembered that Mr. Numbers was still waiting for her to play. She quickly picked up her phone and sent him a message. "Are you still in the game?" "Yes." Upon receiving 111,111's reply, Shi Yao quickly logged into the game. After entering the game room, she had barely plugged in her earphones when 111,111's voice sounded. "Has the gift arrived yet?" How did Mr. Numbers know that it was a gift from someone else? Shi Yao thought that Mr. Numbers was just making a casual guess, and she was impressed by his accurate guess. So, she replied casually, "A gift from a man." As soon as Mr. Numbers said those words, he started the game. "Could it be that it's a gift from that handsome, well-off fiancé of yours?" Godly, he actually guessed it right again. Shi Yao exclaimed in astonishment, "How did you know?" "Less than 111,111, it was just a wild guess." Shi Yao replied with an "oh." A moment later, less than 111,111 spoke up once more. "Your fiancé treats you quite well, quite well." "Sometimes, yes," Shi Yao replied perfunctorily. "It's all right." "It's all right, right? How can you be so careless? There are many men in this world who are rich, but they can't bear to spend their money on women. It's already a great feat for your fiancé to be able to do such a thing. You should know that there are also some men who still cheat on women even though they already have a significant other. So, when you meet a good man, you have to grab hold of him." Shi Yao's voice didn't come through the earpiece. "This is a promotion for me. You don't like it?" Overpromotion can easily lead to reverse psychology. Lin Jiej pondered for a moment before changing the topic. Speaking of which, can I ask you a question? Sure, Yao replied, sure. Lin Jiej, what flowers do you like? Don't tell me it's like what the internet says, that you like to spend money casually. Sure, Yao, of course not. I like snacks and flowers. I see. Lin Jiej replied nonchalantly. Then, he raised his gun and aimed it at the person in the opposite building. After firing a shot, he asked, if you could indulge yourself just once in your life, what are the 3 things you want to do the most? Sure, Yao was probably deep in thought, so she dragged out a long before replying, I eat more, and I eat better. Lin Jiej was silent for a moment before his lips moved. Do you know anything else other than eating? Of course I do. Sure, Yao's voice sounded from the earpiece. Her voice was light and airy, and I get hungry too. He shouldn't have asked her that question. Lin Jiej shook his head helplessly and went back to the topic at hand. What do you look forward to the most ever since you were young? Without any hesitation, Sure Yao replied, I want to have a big house. The tiles are made of biscuits, the bed is made of cotton candy, the floor is made of chocolate, the cabinets are made of candy, the decorations on the walls are made of strawberries and pineapples, the sofa is made of cake, the water that flows out of the tap is yogurt, the fridge is made of ice cream, and the cobblestone road is paved with nuts. Chapter 363. Lin Jiej was stunned into silence for a moment before a single thought surfaced in his mind. This. Is she really that awesome? He tried his best to calm himself down. As he held his gun and looked around, he asked casually, do you have a dream? Of course I do. Is there anyone in the world who doesn't have a dream? Before Lin Jiej could ask her what her dream was, Sure Yao had already taken the initiative to reveal her dream. Do you know what my dream is? My dream is that one day, all of the restaurants in the world will be free of charge. Other people's dreams were to become scientists, world champions, or the richest man in the world, but her dream was nothing more than a fantasy. After all, dreams had a chance to come true, but a fantasy would forever remain a fantasy. Lin Jiej fell silent for a moment before replying, you sure have a grand dream. Soon, Lin Jiej moved on to the next topic. Do you have any regrets? Of course I do. If I didn't have any regrets, I wouldn't have the same dream as the previous one. Sure Yao sighed softly, seemingly in deep sorrow. She continued, the greatest regret in my life is that the heavens have bestowed upon me the trait of a glutton, but they didn't give me the identity of a tycoon. It had to do with food again. But of all the questions he had asked, the last one was probably the most normal. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej spoke up calmly, it doesn't matter if you don't have the identity of a tycoon. You can still marry one. He paused for a moment before continuing to promote himself. Didn't you say that your fiancé comes from a wealthy family? If you marry him, wouldn't the greatest regret in your life be resolved? Sure Yao, what you said does make sense. Hearing the first half of Sure Yao's words, Lin Jiej's lips couldn't help but curl up. It seemed like his self-promotion wasn't completely useless after all. Sure Yao. It's a pity that I won't marry him. Lin Jiej straightened his back and asked, why? There was a hint of bewilderment in Sure Yao's voice as she asked, why are you so agitated? Am I? Lin Jiej retorted. Then, realizing that he might have overreacted, he quickly added, I'm not agitated because of your words. I'm agitated because there's someone in 235. Sure Yao replied with a few, taking his words for granted. Lin Jiej didn't rush to continue. Instead, after wiping out the squad in 235, he said, you're already calling him your fiancé, so why aren't you marrying him? Isn't that contradictory? That's not it. It's just that the matter between us is a little complicated. How should I explain it to you? Yao seemed to be trying to find the right words, so she fell silent for a moment before continuing. In any case, he doesn't like me anymore, you. It was only a single word before Lin Jiej realized that his emotions had gotten a little too agitated. He quickly took a deep breath and forced himself to speak more casually. How do you know that he doesn't like you? I'm not stupid, of course I know. Hearing Yao's words, Lin Jiej couldn't help but chuckle inwardly. You sure are silly. Chapter 364. What the heck? Are you sure you're talking about me? Or is Yao's fiancé really me? Why doesn't he know that I like girls with long legs, big breasts, and a sweet voice? Also, who said that I don't look at a woman's face? I'm a beauty freak, not a butt freak. This is definitely the worst defamation I've ever received in my entire life. Just who in the world dares to slander me in front of Soft Bun? I swear that I'll beat that person to death if I find out. Lin Jiej gritted his teeth furiously. It took him a long while before he managed to calm himself down and asked, Are you sure that you don't have any misunderstandings about your fiancé? I don't think so. I used to have a... Yao's voice trailed off in the earpiece. A few seconds later, she continued. There was a girl who knew him, and she told me about it. On top of that, she would often send me photos of the girls he was with, and they all had the same characteristics. Even though Yao didn't say who the girl was, Lin Jiej could guess who she was. So, it was Liang Juxi's cousin. He really didn't want to scold anyone, but he really wanted to use the word *tch to describe Liang Juxi's cousin. While Lin Jiej was on the verge of a mental breakdown, Yao's voice sounded in his ears once more. Also, I'm telling you that he doesn't seem to be mentally sound. Lin Jiej's hand, which was holding onto his phone, suddenly trembled. How could he be mentally sound? I saw a pornographic manga on his desk. It was written in Japanese, but I've studied Japanese before, so I was able to understand a single word on the cover. It's related to SM and father-daughter relationships, so you should understand now, right? Understand my ass. At this very moment, he didn't want to understand anything at all. All he wanted to do was to rip someone off. Rip that dog, Liang Juxi. To think that the pornographic manga incident still hadn't passed. No, it should be more accurate to say that not only did it not pass, it even severely affected his lofty and beautiful image in Soft Bun's heart. Liang Juxi's cousin is mentally sound, but Liang Juxi is seriously ill too. Those two siblings are really poisonous. While countless screw-yous galloped across Lin Jiej's mind, Yao's voice sounded in his ears once more. Say, isn't it already incomprehensible enough for a single person to read an S&M novel? They even look at father-daughter relationships. It's really scary just thinking about it. Do you think boys who pay attention to these things are mentally unhealthy? Could he choose not to answer this question? Yao spoke up once more. Why aren't you talking? Did you not hear me? No, I'm here, Lin Jiej replied. Oh, I thought that he disconnected. Yao had always been a persistent person. Do you think that my fiancé is mentally unstable? With two consecutive questions, it seemed like he really wouldn't be able to escape anymore. Gritting his teeth, Lin Jiej replied, Guess so. What do you mean by that? Do you think it's okay to look at those things? Don't tell me you also know how to watch those. Before Yao could finish her words, Lin Jiej had already interjected, No, I won't, since I can't escape anymore, I might as well blacken myself. I can't possibly blacken both of my identities, can I? Lin Jiej gritted his teeth and said, Your fiancé might really be mentally unstable. Chapter 365. Perhaps. Yao nodded in agreement. Then, she continued. I think we've gone off topic. Forget it, let's not talk about our fiancé anymore. In any case, what I'm trying to say is that the chances of us being together is zero. Zero probability. May I ask, what kind of formula did you use to come up with this result? How did a talented math student like me come up with a probability of 100%? To put it in simpler terms, it was 100 times the probability of 1. Even if they were to redo it 100 times, they would still end up together. Lin Jiej really wanted to explain himself, but he was afraid that he would expose himself if he argued too much. Thus, he could only suppress his frustration and choose to remain silent. Soft Bun was terrible at math. Back then, she had gotten 5 out of 10 questions wrong, so there was no need for him to pay attention to her results. There was no doubt that they were wrong. At this moment, other than confessing to Soft Bun, he had 2 more things to consider. One was how to let Soft Bun know that his taste in women wasn't that weird, and the other was to let her know that he had a healthy and positive mindset. He was definitely one of the 5 good young men who loved his country. But what were the 5 good young men who loved their country? Good academics, good thinking, good work, good discipline, good style. That's not right. It should be a good income, good culinary skills, good housework, good attitude toward Yao Yao, and most importantly, good food for Yao Yao. They played all the way until 6:30 in the evening, when Shi Yao had to head to the cafeteria for dinner. Before going offline, Lin Jiej habitually asked, "Are you still playing tonight?" Shi Yao swiftly replied, "I can't tonight. We're going to have our final exams next month, so I've promised my roommates that I'll be cramming on my homework at night." "Oh, all right." Lin Jiej nodded. Recalling that Shi Yao's class schedule that he'd gotten his hands on showed that she didn't have any classes tomorrow, he asked, "What about tomorrow?" "Shi Yao, I can't tomorrow either. I'm going to the antique market." Lin Jiej frowned, unable to react for a moment. Antique market. You play antiques too? That's not it. It's a grandfather who treats me very well. It's going to be his birthday soon, so I'm going to pick out a birthday present for him. Hearing those words, Lin Jiej finally came to a realization. He must be out of his mind to have missed out on such an important matter, but then again, he had already chosen an inkstone for her. It was just that he had been thinking about how to give it to her in the past 2 days. Now that she was talking to him about this matter, it was really a heaven-sent opportunity. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej asked, "Are you going to give me an antique as a birthday present?" "Yeah, the antique market is very complicated. It's very easy to be fooled." "Do you know anyone there?" "Nope. That's why I'm so worried. I can only go to each house tomorrow. Do you need my help?" How can you help?" "I have a relative in the antique market. If you need him, I can give you his contact information. You can show him my WeChat, and he will definitely give you a discount." Shi Yao's delighted voice sounded through the earpiece. "Is it really that good?" "That's great, give me your contact information." Chapter 366. After receiving Shi Yao's thanks, Lin Jiej replied with a, "You're welcome," before exiting WeChat. He searched for the phone number he had just sent to Shi Yao and made a call. "There'll be a lady calling you later. Her name is Shi Yao. Give her your shop address and have her look for you at the shop tomorrow. Oh right, remember to bring the inkstone that I asked you to buy for me over as well. After that, you'll have to treat her like a normal customer and sell the inkstone to her. Also, don't let anything slip. Don't let her know who I am. Don't think too much about it. Just do what I tell you to do, there's nothing else. I'm hanging up now. Oh, wait. Also, don't ask for too high a price. Lower it, but don't go too far. How much is suitable?" 200 renminbi. Why do you care?" "I bought it for 200,000 renminbi, so I'm willing to sell it to her for 200 renminbi. I'll also send her a 200 renminbi red packet later on so that she can take it away without spending a single cent. I'm a willful person, and I'm willing to do good deeds without leaving my name behind. After hanging up the call, Lin Jiej tapped into WeChat. He tapped into his conversation with Shuyao and was just about to send a 200 renminbi red packet over when he thought about it for a moment and changed it to 80 renminbi. Then, he added a message at the bottom, "Thank you for your level 3 Spetsnaz helmet." After successfully sending the message, he sent 2 more red packets, each of which was also 80 renminbi. The message attached to the 2 red packets was, "Thank you for your AWM," and "Thank you for your level 3 Spetsnaz armor." After confirming that there were no issues, Lin Jiej kept his phone and beckoned Xie Shangzhou and Liu Benlai to have lunch together. Just as he was about to leave, he recalled the 80 RMB red packet he had just sent, and he couldn't help but feel delighted. I wonder if Soft Bun got the hint. 80 renminbi is equivalent to 50 renminbi plus 20 renminbi plus 10 renminbi. Even though 80 renminbi is a little shabby, it's the largest sum of 520 renminbi in the world. This means that I'm willing to give her however much money I have. As soon as Shuyao received Mr. Number's phone number, she immediately contacted the other party through a message. After a simple conversation, Shuyao received the address of Mr. Number's relative's shop, and they arranged to meet at the shop at 11 the next morning. Accompanying Shuyao to the antique market were Jiang Yu and Ling Wan. In truth, Tian had wanted to come over as well, but her teacher had called her to the library to organize her books. The shop recommended by Mr. Numbers wasn't too difficult to find. After getting off the subway, it only took Shuyao and the others less than 100 meters to reach it. As her gift had already been decided by Liang Mumu, as soon as she entered the shop, she straightforwardly said that she wanted to buy an inkstone. What a coincidence. "I just got an inkstone yesterday." The shop owner introduced the origin of his inkstone as he took it out. With just a single glance, Shuyao had already fallen for it. Be it the color or the design, they were all very grand and exquisite. Based on her understanding of Grandpa Lin, this was definitely the type that Grandpa Lin liked. However, this inkstone looked very classy, so it should be very expensive, right? Shuyao nervously asked for the price, and when she heard that it was only 200 renminbi, she immediately paid the money and left without any hesitation. But just as she was leaving the antique market with Lang Wan and Jiang Yu, Shuyao happened to see a familiar face. Why was she here? Chapter 367. But just as she was leaving the antique market with Lang Wan and Jiang Yu, Shuyao happened to see a familiar face. Why is she here? Shuyao couldn't help but stop in her tracks. Staring at the figure, she tilted her head in contemplation. Yao Yao. Lang Wan took a few steps forward, but when she realized that Shuyao wasn't following her, she turned around and called out to her. Shuyao didn't respond. Jiang Yu also turned around and asked, "Yao Yao, what are you daydreaming about? It's such a hot day, you're going to get tanned." Shuyao remained motionless. Noticing that something was amiss, Ling Wan followed Shuyao's gaze, and when she saw the person Shuyao was looking at, she was astonished. Why is she here too? Who? Hearing Ling Wan's voice, Jiang Yu asked doubtfully. Seeing that Ling Wan was ignoring her, she followed the latter's gaze, and her mouth widened in astonishment. Campus Farshchin. She's actually here at the antique market too. Isn't this a little too much of a coincidence? It is indeed a coincidence, so much so that it makes one's hair stand on end. Ling Wan replied calmly. Ah. Jiang Yu's eyes widened in shock. Nguan, are you serious? I'm about to be roasted to death on such a hot day, and yet you're saying that it's creepy. Shuyao, who had been silent all this while, met Ling Wan's gaze and said, Indeed. It's so coincidental that it makes one think that fate is man-made. However, we'll know whether it's man-made or not once we head over to take a look. Leng Wan nodded and replied with an "on." Jiang Yu was even more confused. She looked at Leng Wan before turning to Shi Yao and asked, "What are the two of you talking about? I don't understand at all." "If you don't understand, then don't bother. Follow us." As Leng Wan spoke, she pulled Jiang Yu's arm and walked over to Shi Yao. Following which, the three of them returned to the shop where Shi Yao bought the inkstone from. This time, they didn't enter the shop but hid in the shadows. "Wait a moment, what are the two of you up to? Why are you hiding here?" Due to the hot weather, Jiang Yu kept waving her hands. "Even if we want to know what Campus Farce Chin is up to, we should just follow behind her. When can we leave?" In the end, Jiang Yu's voice sounded a little weak. Just as Jiang Yu was about to lose her patience, Qin Iran finally appeared. However, this time, Qin Iran was no longer alone. There was another person by her side. Shi Yao was even more familiar with that person, Liang Mumu. Jiang Yu, who had been on the brink of death, was instantly revived. "Oh my god, am I seeing things? Campus Farce Chin knows Liang Mumu." Compared to the noisy Jiang Yu, Leng Wan's eyes were also filled with astonishment. On the other hand, Shi Yao's expression remained calm. She simply pursed her lips slightly as she watched the two of them walk into the shop where she had bought her inkstone. Qin Iran and Liang Mumu didn't stay in the shop for too long before they came out. Compared to before she entered the shop, the smile on Liang Mumu's face was even more radiant, and there was even a hint of excitement in her eyes. Perhaps it was due to the hot weather, or perhaps it was because she and Qin Iran didn't want to stay under the scorching sun for too long, but their footsteps were swift, and it didn't take long for them to disappear from Shi Yao's sight. "Why do you think Qin Iran and Liang Mumu came to the shop we just visited?" Jiang Yu asked. Leng Wan pondered for a moment before shaking her head. "I can't." Chapter 368. Even though Qin Iran and Liang Mumu were no longer on the street, Shi Yao's gaze was still fixed in the direction they had left in. Even the words that she spoke had nothing to do with Jiang Yu. In the end, I still managed to confirm it. "What?" Jiang Yu didn't catch Shi Yao's words clearly. Shi Yao was still immersed in her thoughts as she muttered to herself, "Actually, I've guessed it for a long time, but I didn't have any evidence to back it up. Now that I've seen it with my own eyes." Back then, when the scandal of a female student of G University spending the night with a different man was exposed on the school forum, she had already guessed that the mastermind was related to Liang Mumu. In truth, when she looked up the ID of the person who had exposed the scandal, she was surprised to find out that it was Qin Iran and not Liang Mumu. The reason why she had suspected Liang Mumu was because Qin Iran shouldn't have known where Lin Jiej lived. Even if Qin Iran knew where Lin Jiej lived, she wouldn't have paid so much attention to her and collected so many photos related to her. After all, in the eyes of everyone in G University, she and Lin Jiej were complete strangers. But Liang Mumu was different. She was Lin Jiej's neighbor, and they were friends as well. It was a walk in the park for her to collect those photos. To Liang Mumu, Qin Iran was nothing more than a chess piece, a tool to be used. It was a pity that Qin Iran didn't know that she was still running errands for Liang Mumu. "Yao Yao, what are you talking about?" Jiang Yu felt that Shi Yao was spouting nonsense. She asked Shi Yao, but the latter was ignoring her, so she raised her voice and said, "Yao Yao, I don't understand a single word you're saying. It's as if I'm listening to a math lesson." Shi Yao reined in her wandering thoughts and glanced at Jiang Yu. After which, her lips curled up and she said, "It's nothing. Let's go and have lunch." Jiang Yu probably didn't want to know about such troublesome matters either, so she replied with a "all right," before grabbing Shi Yao's arm and prepared to leave. On the way to the subway station, Ling Yuan still couldn't help but feel a little worried, so she said, "Yao Yao, there's no way that things are as simple as they seem. You have to be careful." Shi Yao nodded. "I know, but I can't really guess what they're up to. Perhaps they're trying to find out what kind of inkstone I bought. Or maybe they have other plans. Forget it, I don't care anymore. We'll cross the bridge when we get to it. It's not a bad thing to bump into them today. I can be more cautious. But this inkstone. Nuan, you should keep it safe for me. I'm afraid that something might happen if I keep it with me." Ling Yuan, no problem. However, you'd better leave the box with you. If they try to tamper with the present, it'll be an empty box. Walking in between Ling Yuan and Shi Yao, Jiang Yu's face was so dizzy that it looked as if she had drunk 3 huge jars of wine. "I feel like I'm not just having a mathematics lesson right now. It's as if I'm having both mathematics and physics lessons at the same time." After settling Grandpa Lin's birthday present, Shi Yao's mind was finally at ease. She focused all of her attention on her final examinations. Chapter 369. Recently, Lin Jiej's days had been rather busy as well. On top of his projects, he had to attend to his grandfather's birthday banquet and the most important confession scene. The days flew by swiftly, and a week before his grandfather's birthday, Lin Jiej received a call informing him that everything he needed to prepare had been completed. Following which, he was left with yet another problem. How should he ask Shi Yao out after his grandfather's birthday banquet? 2 more days passed while Lin Jiej was vexed over this matter. It happened to be the weekend, and since his grandfather's birthday banquet was next week, Lin Jiej decided to return home to see if there was anything he needed to help out with. On a Saturday afternoon, only Lin Jiej and Lin Jiayi were having lunch. Lin Jiayi ate earlier than Lin Jiej, so she put down her chopsticks earlier too. However, she remained seated in the dining room, showing no signs of leaving. Lin Jiej's intuition told him that there was something wrong with Lin Jiayi, but he continued to eat his meal calmly and elegantly, treating Lin Jiayi as if she didn't exist. A second after he finished his meal, Lin Jiayi immediately passed him a napkin and said, "Wipe your mouth." One who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. Lin Jiej glanced at the smile on Lin Jiayi's exquisite face, but he didn't take the napkin. Instead, he took one for himself and slowly wiped his mouth. The napkin in Lin Jiayi's hand wasn't napkin but RMB. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej tossed the napkin onto the table and prepared to leave the dangerous Lin Jiayi who had been staring at him for the entire meal. However, before he could stand up, Lin Jiayi had already spoken up. "My dear brother, grandfather's birthday banquet is coming up soon, and I haven't prepared my dress yet. Can you accompany me shopping in the afternoon?" Without even blinking, Lin Jiej replied without any hesitation, "I can't." Only a fool would accompany her shopping. Did she want someone to accompany her shopping? Didn't she want a cash register? Are you really that cold and heartless? Lin Jiayi blinked her eyes. Then, let's change the method. "My dear brother, grandfather's birthday banquet is coming up soon. Have you prepared your dress? If you're not prepared, do you want me to go shopping with you in the afternoon?" Lin Jiej's answer was even more straightforward than before, "There's no need for that. Only an idiot would want her to go shopping with him. Was she that kind? Sister, I really care about you. How can you reject me so decisively?" Lin Jiayi sighed sorrowfully. As the saying goes, a grown man can't be kept at home. We haven't even gotten married yet, but our relationship has already turned so cold. Haha. I'm afraid your relationship is measured in RMB, right? Lin Jiej's lips twitched, but he couldn't be bothered with Lin Jiayi anymore. Getting up, he prepared to leave. Lin Jiayi didn't panic in the slightest. She calmly sat down on the chair and sighed deeply. My biological younger brother isn't as good as my biological sister-in-law. Forget it, I just wanted a handbag, but my younger brother turned me down. Since that's the case, I guess I'll just have to go shopping with my sister-in-law then. As she said those words, Lin Jie shot a glance at Lin Jiej, and just as she had expected, the young man halted his footsteps. The corners of her lips curled up slightly as she continued. Us two weak women, let's carry the bags by ourselves. Chapter 370. Two weak girls. Soft Bun can be considered a weak woman. As for you, are you sure you aren't a female bandit? Lin Jiej knew that this was a ploy, but his feet were glued to the ground, unable to move at all. Lin Jie, who had been talking non-stop a moment ago, suddenly fell completely silent. Lin Jiej watched as she walked past him, about to leave the restaurant. He gritted his teeth and admitted defeat. I can carry the bag. Lin Jie's footsteps showed no signs of slowing down. For Soft Bun, he could endure anything. What did he just say? Only an idiot would accompany Lin Jie shopping, and only an idiot would want Lin Jie to accompany him shopping. Since he had already become both an idiot and an idiot, what was there to be afraid of? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej took a deep breath to suppress the indignance he was feeling inside before adding, I can also be your driver. Lin Jie walked further and further away, and in fact, her footsteps were getting faster and faster. Which family's woman was so venomous? Lin Jiej cursed Lin Jie 800 times in his heart, but the words that came out of his mouth were, I can still be an ATM. As if a robot whose switch had been switched on, Lin Jie abruptly halted her footsteps and turned to look at Lin Jiej with a bright smile. All right then. Since you're so sincere, I'll reluctantly allow you to follow me and Yao Yao. You'll carry our bags, be our chauffeur, and be our ATM. Looking at Lin Jie's dazzling smile, Lin Jiej sneered in disdain. Who was the one who said that Liang Jusi was his friend? He said that Lin Jie's smile was so exquisite that it was flawless, bright and radiant. Could they be blind? Her smile was bright and beautiful, but there was a dagger hidden in it. If he could, he really wanted to reject having such a sister. Shi Yao and Lin Jie agreed to meet at the entrance of SPK Mall at 3 in the afternoon. It would take roughly 20 minutes to get from the Lin family residence to the shopping mall, but before 2:00, Lin Jiej was already urging Lin Jie to head out. After arriving at SPK Mall, Lin Jiej and Lin Jie waited for nearly an hour before Shi Yao finally arrived. She thought that Lin Jie would be the only one here, so she hadn't expected Lin Jiej to be around as well. After calling out, Sis Jie, she was taken aback for a moment before she turned to Lin Jiej and greeted him with a smile. Lin Jiej stared at Shi Yao for a moment before replying with a soft, "on." A second after Lin Jiej said those words, Lin Jie, who was itching to go shopping, grabbed Shi Yao's arm and began making her way over to Gucci. Along the way, Lin Jie spoke non-stop. Yao Yao, you don't have to worry about Lin Jiej. He's just an ATM with the functions of a chauffeur. Lin Jie was an SVIP in all of SKP stores, so there was no need for her to make a selection herself. As soon as they entered, the store manager personally led the three of them to the VIP lounge and handed them a catalog of the latest models for them to choose from. After a long period of shopping, Lin Jie was already familiar with the effects of the clothes she wore. She picked up the catalog and began flipping through it as she tapped on it. Soon, the manager called for someone to bring a pile of clothes over. Lin Jie stood up and simply divided the clothes into two halves. She gestured for someone to bring one half over for Shi Yao to try on while keeping the other half for herself. Shi Yao and Lin Jie used a fitting room each. Lin Jie was the first to come out of the fitting room. She looked at herself in the mirror and asked Lin Jiej, "Does it look good?" Lin Jiej looked at his phone, not even bothering to lift his head as he replied with a perfunctory, "on." Right after he said those words, Shi Yao also came out of the fitting room. Chapter 371. Right after he said those words, Shi Yao also walked out of the fitting room. Lin Jiej immediately raised his head to look at Shi Yao. The young lady was dressed in a white muslin dress decorated with many hand-sewn flowers. Paired with the light pink high heels that the shop assistant had given her, she exuded a refreshing and natural aura, reminiscent of a beautiful painting. A hint of amazement flashed across Lin Jiej's eyes. Unbeknownst to him, he had fallen into a daze. "Yao Yao, you look really beautiful in this dress." Lin Jiej looked at Shi Yao from head to toe before complimenting her. At the same time, she turned to Lin Jiej and asked, "Lin Jiej, don't you think that I look beautiful?" Hearing those words, Lin Jiej hurriedly lowered his eyes to conceal his gaze from Shi Yao's body. Roughly 2 seconds later, he finally opened his eyes and turned his gaze back to Shi Yao. "Beautiful, she really is beautiful. It's just that the neckline of the muslin dress is a little low, and he can vaguely see a small portion of her breasts." Without any hesitation, Lin Jiej opened his mouth and said, "Ugly." Halfway through his sentence, Lin Jiej suddenly fell silent. "No, I can't say that she's ugly. Soft Bun likes to listen to my words. Besides, I'm going to confess to her in a few days' time. I can't afford to ruin her impression of me any further." Lin Jiej pondered for a moment before forcefully changing his words. "It doesn't look too bad. It's really refreshing." Lin Jiej's eyes lit up. "Since it looks good, I'll buy it then." "I really don't want to buy it. But Soft Bun's happiness is more important." Gritting his teeth, Lin Jiej nodded. "I'll buy it." Lin Jiej immediately burst into laughter. She turned to the manager and said, "Wrap up Miss Shi's dress and the one I'm wearing." 5 minutes later, Lin Jiej and Shi Yao walked out of the changing room in a new set of clothes. When Lin Jiej asked Lin Jiej for his opinion, Lin Jiej still didn't even look at it, replying with a half-dead "on." Then, when it came to Shi Yao's dress, Lin Jiej was just as entranced as before. This time, it was a short skirt. The top was not exposed, but the bottom, the skirt was too short. More than 3/4 of her legs were exposed. These clothes are really hurtful. Out of habit, Lin Jiej subconsciously blurted out his thoughts. However, halfway through his sentence, the words, "a symbol of immorality," disappeared from his throat. When he corrected himself, it became, "a stunning upper body." "That's exactly what I've been waiting for." Lin Jiej couldn't help but chuckle inwardly, but she still put on a troubled expression and said, "Since this one looks good and the previous one looks good, which one should I choose?" Why was Soft Bun struggling over which item to choose when she was shopping? Even though Lin Jiej didn't want either of them, he still calmly shot a glance at the manager beside him and said, "Wrap this up as well." Lin Jiej hurriedly added, "Take the one I'm wearing with you too." 5 minutes later, Shi Yao changed into another set of clothes. It was still so beautiful that one couldn't take their eyes off it. However, the material of the back of the dress was made of lace, revealing her fair skin vaguely, making her look exceptionally alluring. This dress probably belongs to the category of sexy lingerie. However, Lin Jiej didn't have the guts to say those words out loud. He really wanted to cry, but he could only maintain his composure and remain seated on the sofa. So, spoiling Soft Bun comes with such a heavy price. This time, he didn't even feel like talking to the manager anymore. He simply waved his hand, gesturing for the manager to wrap it up. In order to not make Soft Bun happy, he had been forced to buy those clothes after praising them profusely. However, just because he had bought them didn't mean that he was willing to let Soft Bun wear them. It was just that if Soft Bun were to bring those clothes home and wear them to class or shopping, there was nothing he could do to stop her. The only thing he could do was to prevent those clothes from falling into Soft Bun's hands. Everyone made mistakes at times, and he was no exception. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jie's eyes flickered in thought. In the next second, he strode over to the trash can in the washroom and opened the bags one by one to take a look. When he saw that they were the clothes that he didn't want Soft Bun to wear, he mercilessly tossed them into the trash can together with their packaging. At that time, he only needed to pretend that he was the one who went to the toilet and left something behind. That would be it. Chapter 373. He's really too smart. With just a flash of inspiration, he was able to resolve the problem that had plagued him for the past few hours. Lin Jie checked through the rest of the bags and confirmed that there weren't any indecent clothes in there. Only after confirming that there were only ladies' clothes left, did he prepare to leave with the bags. But barely after taking 2 steps, he suddenly stopped. Since I'm going to put on a show, I have to make it look real. Wouldn't it be too obvious if I only threw away Soft Bun's things? Lin Jie pondered for a moment before he turned around and found 2 of Lin Jie's things before tossing them into the trash can. He was just about to leave when he recalled how Lin Jie had made him a coolie and an ATM machine for the entire afternoon. Thus, he took out Lin Jie's favorite clothes and tossed them into the trash can as well. He knew Lin Jie's personality too well. She would surely find a way to buy another one for herself if she were to lose it. When he was paying the bill earlier, the waiter had said that this was the only one in the entire country. If she were to buy another one, she would probably have to spend a lot of money and effort overseas. Who asked her to cheat him of his money for nothing? Fine, I'll make her bleed now. Not only did I solve the problem of Soft Bun's clothes, but I also exact my vengeance on Lin Jie. I sure am smart. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jie confirmed that there weren't any loopholes in his plan before he picked up the remaining bags and leisurely walked out of the washroom in a good mood. At 4:30 p.m., Lin Jie had already made a call to China World Hotel Beijing to book a table for dinner. So, as soon as the 3 of them arrived at the parking lot, Lin Jie drove straight to the hotel. Upon arriving at China World Hotel Beijing, as soon as the 3 of them walked in, the hotel manager immediately walked up to them and warmly ushered them to the suite upstairs. After taking their seats, the waiter passed them the menu. Lin Jie pushed the menu over to Shuyao and gestured for her to order first. After Shuyao was done ordering, Lin Jie passed the menu over to Lin Jie. Lin Jie took a look at the menu before ordering a Shenjing roast goose and baby cabbage soup. While placing the order, the waiter reminded, "Mr. Lin, you seem to have ordered a little too much. It'll go to waste if you don't finish it." Lin Jie waved his hand calmly. Just as he was about to say that it was fine, Shuyao suddenly raised her head and said, "Too much. We can't waste it. Otherwise, we'll just go for 2 dishes. Hearing Shuyao's voice, Lin Jie hurriedly swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth and corrected himself. Indeed, it's shameful to waste food. Pass me the menu, I'll take a look at which 2 dishes to order." "Very well, Mr. Lin." With a smile, the waiter passed the dishes that Lin Jie had just ordered to him. He pretended to look through the menu from top to bottom before pointing to the 2 dishes Lin Jie had ordered. "I'll just have these 2 dishes." "All right." The waiter took back the menu with a smile. "Then I'll follow your instructions and remove those 2 dishes. If you don't have a few mouthfuls, I'll ask the chef to make them." Without saying a word, Lin Jie nodded slightly. The waiter did not disturb them again and quietly left the private room. The television on the wall of the private room was on, and it was playing a fashion show. Chapter 374. This seemed to be a very good opportunity, a very good opportunity for him to forcefully clear his name. But then again, he didn't know much about this fashion show. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej took out his phone and searched for the show. After gaining a brief understanding of it, he said, "This show seems to be very popular recently. Many girls are competing against each other." Lin Jiej glanced at the screen and replied calmly, "There are many clothes in the show that are sponsored by my family's company." Lin Jiej paused for a moment before adding, "And I was the one who negotiated it. What does the sponsorship have to do with me? Besides, you even added that you were the one who negotiated it. What do you mean by that? You want me to praise you? I won't do that." Lin Jiej pretended not to hear her. Shi Yao's eyes lit up as she gazed at Lin Jiej in admiration. "Sis Jiej, you're amazing." Lin Jiej couldn't help but roar in his heart. Is Soft Bun dumb? We're family, so shouldn't she be standing on my side? In order to prevent Lin Jiej from boasting, Lin Jiej quickly changed the topic. "Who's the first in the show?" "Her name is Xia. Xia Tian, she's really beautiful. A lot of people voted for her, especially male fans, because she..." Shi Yao replied. But halfway through her words, she suddenly realized that it wasn't appropriate to say that Xia Tian had big breasts, so she changed her words to something more subtle. "Her figure is more voluptuous." "That's exactly what I wanted." Lin Jiej chuckled inwardly, but he calmly glanced at the television and asked, "Which one is her?" Shi Yao also turned to look at the television, and when the close-up was on Xia Tian, she pointed her out to Lin Jiej. Lin Jiej took a look at the figure of the girl on the television and shook his head. "This girl doesn't look good. Her figure is clearly abnormal. Her breasts can't be fake, right?" As he spoke, another close-up shot of a tall girl wearing high heels appeared on the screen, accentuating her long legs. This girl's figure isn't all that impressive either. Her legs are too long. It's not like she's Optimus Prime. Also, this girl is even more disgusting. Can't she speak properly when we interview her? Why does she have to act so coquettishly? Does she think that the world is filled with her parents? This girl is even more like a man. She doesn't have the slightest bit of femininity. And this girl? She's not bad, but isn't she a little too fat?" Lin Jiej would comment on every girl that appeared on the screen. Shi Yao hadn't heard a single compliment from his mouth. This was especially so when she thought that the girl was his type. He would become even more picky. In the end, Shi Yao felt like she was about to faint. "Why does he look so different from the pictures Liang Mumu had sent me?" Just as Shi Yao was feeling perplexed over this, a young lady suddenly appeared on the screen. She had a voluptuous chest, long legs, and a perky bottom. These were all the characteristics of a girl that Lin Jiej liked. Shi Yao thought, Lin Jiej should at least say something nice about me now, right? Who knew that in the next second, she would hear someone say, "Don't even talk about that. His butt is so big. I'm afraid he'll have to sit in 2 chairs in class, right?" Seriously. These outstanding girls were pretty much all kinds of beauties. He could find fault with every single one of them. How strange and weird was his vision. Shi Yao couldn't help but ask, "Why do you find every single girl problematic? Don't tell me you don't like girls." Lin Jiej's hand, which had just picked up the cup of water, suddenly trembled. *T, did I overreach? Not only did I fail to clear my name, I even made Soft Bun think that I'm gay. Or, why don't you just tell me what kind of girls you think are good-looking? I beg of you to stop tormenting these girls. Shi Yao spoke up once more. Afraid that Shi Yao would misunderstand that he liked guys, Lin Jiej didn't think too much about it and blurted out, "Girls like you are quite good-looking." Chapter 375. Afraid that Shi Yao would misunderstand that he liked men, Lin Jiej didn't think too much about it and blurted out, "A girl like you is quite pretty." Never in Shi Yao's wildest dreams could she have imagined that Lin Jiej would say such a thing. In the instant that Lin Jiej said those words, her fingertips began to tremble, and her heartbeat began to quicken. Lin Jiej. What is he trying to do? It was just a second ago that his mouth was so vicious that she wished she could stuff it with toilet paper, and in the next second, he said such a thing. Besides, it wasn't like she hadn't been praised for her beauty before. Back when she was 15, she suddenly grew taller, and her skin grew fairer and fairer. Her eyebrows also seemed to have blossomed overnight, and she became more and more beautiful. From then on, those who knew her would say that she had transformed from an ugly duckling to a beautiful swan, and those who didn't know her would praise her. At first, she would feel embarrassed, but as she was praised more and more, she gradually calmed down. To her close friends, she could shamelessly say that she was a natural beauty, and to her unfamiliar friends, she would politely thank them and compliment them. But when it came to Lin Jiej, why did she lose her composure? Furthermore, it wasn't the embarrassment she felt when he praised her beauty, but an indescribable sense of panic. While Shi Yao's thoughts were running wild, Lin Jiai, who had overheard Lin Jiej's words, burst into laughter. Hearing that, Shi Yao first shot a glance at Lin Jiai before turning her gaze back to Lin Jiej. Lin Jiej was still looking at her. Perhaps she was overthinking things, but the gaze he was looking at her felt a little weird. In just 3 short seconds, Shi Yao had already shifted her gaze away from Lin Jiej's face. She could sense that Lin Jiej was still looking at her. This situation made her feel extremely uncomfortable. Shi Yao discreetly rolled her eyes, but in the next moment, she feigned calmness and raised her head to look at Lin Jiej once more. Even though she was looking at Lin Jiej, her eyes were constantly evading his gaze, refusing to meet Lin Jiej's eyes. Even though she was suppressing her anger, she still tried to speak in a relaxed manner. "Lin Jiej, your joke isn't funny at all." Hearing that reply, Lin Jiai couldn't help but burst into laughter once more, and she nearly spat out the tea in her mouth. Due to her frequent movements, Lin Jiej glared at her. She didn't seem to mind at all. Instead, she stroked her chin and looked at Lin Jiej and Shi Yao with great interest, as if she was watching a show. After warning Lin Jiai, Lin Jiej turned to Shi Yao. Fearing that he would say something else that would make her flustered, Shi Yao hurriedly interjected, "It's fortunate that those girls are from television. If they were in real life, you wouldn't be praising me at all. You'd be digging a pit for me. Do you know that you're attracting hatred?" Lin Jiai's smile widened. Ever since she was young, this was the first time she had heard him praise someone. But this time, the outcome of his praise didn't seem to be so good. Why was it so entertaining to watch Lin Jiej being humiliated? It was much better than those 8:30 p.m. theaters. With such thoughts in mind, the gleam in Lin Jiai's eyes turned from excitement to glee. In contrast to Lin Jiai's excitement, Lin Jiej's expression was a little tense. Chapter 376. Lin Jiej moved his lips once more. But this time, before he could say a single word, Shi Yao had already spoken up once more, and this time, the topic had gone even further. "If we were in the imperial harem, you're the emperor, and we're all concubines. If you don't treat us differently, I'll be ostracized. Just that joke of yours earlier is enough to kill me." "What do you mean by that?" "You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Otherwise, you'll lose your life." Shortly after Shi Yao said those words, someone knocked on the door of the suite, and a waiter pushed a cart in to serve the dishes. Shi Yao's nervousness immediately dissipated. "Oh, I'm really hungry. The dishes are here, so let's eat." As she spoke, Shi Yao scooped up a bowl of soup and passed it to Lin Jiai. Then, she scooped up another bowl and placed it in front of Lin Jiej. It's time to eat. Lin Jiej thanked Shiryao, but Lin Jiej didn't react at all to Shiryao's bowl of soup. His eyes were still glued to Shiryao's face. It was only when the young lady lowered her head to drink the soup that he lowered his eyelids to conceal the disappointment in his eyes. He could tell that she had purposely said so much just to prevent him from opening his mouth. Did she really think that he was joking, or was she just reacting out of embarrassment? Or did she not want to hear the truth from him at all? Lin Jiej turned to look at Shiryao, who was currently wolfing down the food in her mouth. Perhaps it was due to the delicious food, but she was no longer as nervous as before. Lin Jiej opened his mouth, but in the end, he didn't say a word to Shiryao. If there were really some words that made her uncomfortable, he might as well not say them at all. After all, it wasn't his intention to make her sad. By the time they finished their meal, it was already past 9. Lin Jiej first sent Lin Jiej back home. In order to dawdle until the mall closed, Lin Jiej pretended to drive carelessly past an intersection and around half of the second ring road. What should have been a 20-minute journey ended up taking nearly an hour before they finally arrived at their home. It was already getting late, and Lin Jiej had to send Shiryao home, so the two of them didn't enter the house. When Lin Jiej opened the trunk to take out her stuff, she realized that a portion of the bags were missing. A frown appeared on her forehead. She carefully counted the bags, and there were really 7 of them missing. Only then did she call out to Lin Jiej, "Why are the bags missing?" Hearing the commotion, Shiryao and Lin Jiej got out of the car. He checked again and found that the bag was really missing. He tilted his head to the side and pondered for a moment before replying, "If I recall correctly, there were too many bags when I went to the toilet, so I placed them in several different places. I ended up forgetting one of them." "You forgot? Are you suffering from dementia?" Seeing that her favorite dress was gone as well, Lin Jiej flew into a rage. "You useless ATM machine." While Shiryao felt that it was a pity to lose those items, it wasn't Lin Jiej's intention to do so. Besides, he had been carrying their bags for so long. Thus, she tugged on Lin Jiej's sleeves and said, "Sis Jiej, he didn't do it on purpose. Don't be angry anymore." Hearing Shiryao's words, Lin Jiej couldn't bring herself to vent her anger. "I can't let Yao Yao have a bad impression of me." Lin Jiej cursed all 18 generations of Lin Jiej's ancestors in her heart before tossing up, "Forget it, on account of Yao Yao, I won't bicker with a useless ATM machine like you anymore," before grabbing her portion of the bag and walking away. Chapter 377. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. After Lin Jiej disappeared from sight, Lin Jiej finally spoke up. "I'll make up for the clothes you lost later." To be more exact, he had intentionally waited until this moment to speak up. This was the only way he wouldn't be casually harassed by Lin Jiej like when they were shopping at the mall. Hearing those words, Shiryao hurriedly shook her head and waved her hands. "There's no need for that. You were the one who bought those clothes in the first place." As she spoke, she got into the car with Lin Jiej. After fastening her seatbelt, she added honestly, "I was thinking of returning your money." "You're returning my money?" Lin Jiej was just about to start the car when he suddenly halted his movements and asked in a daze, as if he had heard something unexpected. "That's right. It's your money, so of course I'm going to return it to you," Shiryao replied generously. Lin Jiej pursed his lips as he shifted his gaze from Shiryao's face to the road ahead of him, but he didn't react to it. Noticing that Lin Jiej wasn't saying anything, Shiryao felt that something was amiss, so she tilted her head and asked, "What's wrong?" Lin Jiej snapped out of his daze, and he glanced at Shiryao before shaking his head. "And nothing." Following which, his gaze fell on a street lamp in front of him. There was a rose in the courtyard beside it, and it was blooming beautifully. However, this time, he didn't stare for too long. Before Yao could ask him any more questions, he had already stepped on the accelerator. Soft Bun was actually thinking of returning his money. Was he really that distant from her in her heart? In the past, when he didn't have much interest in women, he didn't think that there was anything wrong with these small details. He remembered that there were a few times when Song Chaoshi quarreled with his girlfriend and was chased out of the house by his girlfriend, leaving him pitifully returning to room 501. When he recounted the reasons behind their quarrels, he found them to be insignificant and boring. In his view, there was no need for him to care about such trivial matters. Compared to Liu Benlai and Xie Shangzhou, the opinions that he shared were few and far between. There was one time when he remembered it very clearly. That time, it was Song Chaoshi's girlfriend who came from a poor family. Her father was sick, so she borrowed a high-interest loan. When Song Chaoshi found out about it, he was very angry and asked why she didn't come to him if something happened. That was probably the angriest fight he had ever seen between Song Chaoshi and his girlfriend. When Song Chaoshi returned to the hostel and borrowed money from him, he said, "I don't think my girlfriend will ever want to be with me." He felt that it was ridiculous to escalate such a small matter to such a serious conclusion. At that time, he replied Song Chaoshi with a single sentence, "You're a man, why are you still fussing over such a small matter? You're just like a woman." How did Song Chaoshi reply to him? Song Chaoshi replied, "Boss, you don't understand. It's precisely because you really like her that you're so calculative about these small matters. You like her, that's why you're willing to let her look for you when she's in trouble." In the end, he did not argue with Song Chaoshi. Perhaps it was because he really could not understand, or perhaps it was because he felt that Song Chaoshi cared too much. At this moment, when he heard Soft Bun say that she intended to return him the money, he suddenly felt a little more understanding of Song Chaoshi. Chapter 378. Some time later, Yao's voice sounded in his ears. "No, that's not it. It's the turn ahead." Lin Jiej finally snapped out of his daze, and it was only then that he realized that while his thoughts were running wild, the car had already arrived in the vicinity of Yao's house. In his moment of absent-mindedness, he nearly drove the car off course. He quickly stepped on the brakes, and once the car slowed down, he made a turn according to Yao's instructions. When the car finally stabilized, Lin Jiej finally recalled the reason why he had come to meet Yao. He was here to confess to her and set up a date. Simply put, could this be considered as their first date? But how should he bring it up? Lin Jiej pondered for a moment before asking, "Are you busy recently?" "I can't really say that I'm busy, but I have a lot of things to do." Yao thought that Lin Jiej was just trying to chat with her, so she didn't think too much of it and continued on. "Isn't it grandfather's birthday in 2 days? The day after my birthday, it's the final exam." Lin Jiej exclaimed in astonishment, "It's almost the end of the semester." Hearing his reply, Yao was stunned for a moment before asking in disbelief, "Do you really not know, or are you just feigning ignorance? Pretending?" Lin Jiej frowned for a moment before replying, "I only remember the date of the National College entrance examination. I don't remember anything else. What if you forget the exam?" Unexpectedly, Lin Jiej nodded and replied, "That's true. I forgot about the final exam in the second semester of my freshman year, and it was only when my teacher gave me a call that I found out about it. I was at home at the time, and by the time I arrived at school, an hour had already passed. Initially, I wasn't allowed to enter the examination hall, but the invigilator was on good terms with my father, so he let me in. Half an hour later, it was time to hand in my paper. 1:30. The entire G University was saying that Lin Jiej was a flawless genius, but his examination time was only half an hour. Could it be that his results weren't that good? It wasn't easy for Shuyao to catch a glimpse of Lin Jie's problem. Blinking her eyes, she asked curiously, if it's only half an hour, could it be that you didn't manage to finish the questions during the examination? Didn't finish the question. Impossible. Lin Jie, why don't you take a guess? Guess? Was he embarrassed to say that his results weren't good? Shuyao bit on her finger and asked, were your results that bad back then? Not ideal. Was he really that bad in Soft Bun's eyes? Lin Jie shook his head. Before he could say a word, Shuyao had already come to a realization. Oh, I got it. You failed the course. Lin Jie fell silent. Did he just end up getting struck by lightning for showing off? With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jie exclaimed, how is that possible? My results in G University were all A+. Forget half an hour, even if there were only 20 minutes left, I would still be fine. Let me tell you, I finished the paper in 14 minutes and 30 seconds. The reason why I don't keep track of the time of the exam is because to me, exams are just a few fill-in-the-blank questions and multiple-choice questions. So, the reason he asked her to guess wasn't to guess how miserable he was, but to show off as a straight-A student. Shuyao discreetly placed a hand on her chest to soothe the shock from the top student. Soon, the car came to a stop at Shuyao's house. After thanking him, she was just about to push the car door open when Lin Jie suddenly called out to her, Shuyao. Shuyao turned around to look at Lin Jie. Looking into Shuyao's eyes, Lin Jie couldn't help but feel a tinge of nervousness. He gulped down a mouthful of saliva before asking, you'll be free after the end of semester exam, right? Shuyao shook her head and replied, it's already the holidays, so of course I'll be free. Then, Lin Jie lowered his head to take a look at the time. Today was the 23rd. Then, he raised his head and asked, the 30th is the second day of the holidays. Can I ask you out? Chapter 379. Then, Lin Jie lowered his head to take a look at the time. Today was the 23rd. He raised his head once more and asked, the 30th is the second day of the holiday. Can I ask you out? Ask her out. Hearing those words, a hint of astonishment flashed across Shuyao's eyes as she looked at Lin Jie. Meeting Luo Ruoxin's gaze, Lin Jie spoke up once more, Mountain Changming shall be our summer camp then. Summer camp. Did that mean she wasn't the only one he invited? Shuyao's heart wavered a little, but her sixth sense told her that this summer camp wasn't as simple as she thought it to be. Noticing Shuyao's hesitation, Lin Jie lowered his gaze slightly, and with a nonchalant tone, he continued, there's a river over there, and the fish there are all wild. They're delicious when roasted. There's also a farmhouse over there that makes chestnut braised pork and wild vegetables, grilled fish. Braised pork with chestnut. Wild vegetables. As these delicacies flitted across Shuyao's mind, she suddenly lost her so-called sixth sense. Without any hesitation, she nodded her head vigorously and agreed, sure, sure. What time shall we meet that day? So, it turned out that in order to ask her out, he couldn't rely on his personal charm. He had to rely on the temptation of delicious food. Lin Jie was speechless for a moment before he replied, I'll set off at 9, so I'll be there around 10:30. I'll pick you up then. Ha! It doesn't seem to be on the way, right? Chongming Mountain happens to be in the opposite direction of my home. Isn't it a little too troublesome for you to pick me up? Shuyao pondered for a moment before saying, I'll call a cab over. It'll be very convenient. We'll meet at the entrance of Mountain Changming then. Lin Jie pondered for a moment before agreeing to it. Sure, let's meet at the entrance of Mountain Changming at 11:00 that day. Shuyao's eyes curled into crescents as she replied with an before saying, if there's nothing else, I'll be heading upstairs. Okay. Lin Jiej nodded before following Shi Yao out of the car. He helped her open the trunk and took out her stuff. When he passed it over to her, he worriedly reminded her once more, "Don't forget, it's the 30th, 11 in the morning. Mountain Changming." "I'll remember." "Goodbye then." "Goodbye." Shi Yao turned around and left. But barely after taking 2 steps, Lin Jiej called out to her once more. Shi Yao turned around, and Lin Jiej said, "Good night." Shi Yao replied with a smile, "Good night." She stared at Lin Jiej for 2 seconds before turning around and walking briskly into the apartment. Lin Jiej waited for the lights in Shi Yao's bedroom to light up before driving back to the city. Due to the fact that he had accidentally lost Lin Jiej's clothes, he knew that he would surely be stopped by her if he returned home. So, instead of returning home, he returned to the academy. Returning back to his dormitory room, Lin Jiej took a shower before lying on his bed. He discreetly pinched his waist, and the stinging pain told him that he had really managed to get a date with Shi Yao. He buried his lips into the quilt and couldn't help but smile. He was afraid that Shi Yao wouldn't be able to find the location that day, or that she might have gotten it wrong. A moment later, he picked up his phone and sent Shi Yao a message, "I'm home." Without waiting for Shi Yao's reply, he searched for the complete address of Mountain Changming on the internet and copied and pasted it over to Shi Yao. "This is the exact address. See you there on the 30th, 11 in the morning." A while later, his phone lit up. He had just received a new message. It was Shi Yao's reply, "See you there. See you there. I'll definitely see you there that day." Chapter 380. Over the next 2 days, Shi Yao busied herself with studying for her final exams. As the final exams were getting closer and closer, Shi Yao had less and less time to play her games. Lin Jiej, who had never known what revision was, suddenly had a lot less time to play games every day. In the blink of an eye, it was Tuesday, Grandpa Lin's birthday. The birthday banquet was set to be held at China World Hotel Beijing at 5:30 p.m. On Tuesday afternoon, Shi Yao's lessons lasted all the way until 4 p.m. Due to the tight schedule, she couldn't call for a makeup artist, so after returning to her dormitory room, she took a bath and changed into a gown. With Yi Tian and Leng Wan's help, she put on some light makeup before leaving the room. The driver that Grandpa Lin had sent was already waiting for her downstairs. Upon seeing Shi Yao walking out of the dormitory room, the driver quickly got down and opened the car door for her. It was fortunate that it was a Tuesday, so the traffic wasn't that bad before 5:30 p.m. Even though it was already 4:50 p.m. when Shi Yao set off, it was only 5:15 p.m. when she arrived at China World Hotel Beijing. After the car came to a stop, Shi Yao thanked the driver who had opened the car door for her before getting down and entering China World Hotel Beijing. There was a signboard at the entrance, indicating the direction to Grandpa Lin's birthday banquet hall. Following the signboard, Shi Yao easily found her way to her destination. When she stepped out of the elevator, she immediately saw Grandpa Lin standing at the entrance of the banquet hall. He had a walking stick in his hand, and Auntie Sun was standing by his side. From time to time, he would shake hands with the guests and exchange pleasantries with them. Shi Yao intentionally slowed down her footsteps. When the crowd at the entrance had all greeted Grandpa Lin and entered the banquet hall, she walked up to him. "Grandpa Lin, happy birthday." "Yao Yao, you're here." Upon seeing Shi Yao, the smile on Grandpa Lin's face deepened. "Auntie Sun, bring Yao Yao in." "There's no need for that." Shi Yao hurriedly shook her head. "Grandpa Lin, you can have Auntie Sun accompany you. I'll be fine alone. Besides, I saw Sis Jai too." Grandpa Lin followed Shi Yao's line of sight into the banquet hall, and as expected, he saw Lin Jie chatting with a client of his company. However, Grandpa Lin was afraid that Shi Yao would be too embarrassed to disturb Lin Jie after entering, so he still called out to his granddaughter, Little Yi. Hearing the commotion, Lin Jie shot a glance in the direction of the door before saying a few apologetic words to the person in front of her. After which, she hurriedly rushed over to the door in her high heels. Lin Jie first called out, "Yao Yao," before turning to Grandpa Lin and asking, "Grandpa, what's wrong?" Old Master Lin said, "Yao Yao is here. Remember to accompany her. Don't just greet others and neglect Yao Yao." "I understand, grandfather. Don't worry, I'll be taking little darling Yao Yao away with me," Lin Jie said as she grabbed Shi Yao's hand. Barely after Shi Yao took 2 steps forward, she suddenly heard someone calling out, "Uncle Lin," from behind. The voice sounded rather familiar, so she subconsciously turned her head around. What a coincidence, the moment she arrived, the people from the Liang family also arrived. Liang Huiling was chatting with Grandpa Lin with a smile on her face. Liang Jisi was standing by the side, looking around as if he was looking for someone, and Liang Mumu was staring at her. Perhaps it was because she had heard the conversation between Grandpa Lin and her, and she had also seen how Grandpa Lin had called Lin Jie over, but her lips were tightly pressed together. Chapter 381. Shi Yao and Liang Mumu stared at one another for a moment. Liang Mumu didn't say a word, and neither did Shi Yao. Eventually, she retracted her gaze and followed Lin Jie into the banquet hall. Grandpa Lin's birthday banquet was a very important event for the Lin clan every year. Grandpa Lin was fond of the Chinese style, so the chandeliers in the banquet hall were temporarily replaced with wooden chandeliers. Even the tables and chairs were replaced with ancient mahogany. From this, it could be seen that a lot of thought and effort had gone into the decorations. There were already quite a few guests in the banquet hall, and every single one of them was dressed exquisitely. Not too long after Shi Yao and Lin Jie entered the banquet hall, Liang Huiling walked in with Liang Mumu and Liang Jusi. While Shi Yao was Lin Jie's fiancée, her background was much lower than Liang Mumu's. Liang Mumu had attended all kinds of banquets with Liang Huiling since young, so it went without saying that she was acquainted with many people. She was able to call every single guest in the banquet hall by name, and she was able to exchange a few pleasantries with them. But Shi Yao was different. Other than a few close relatives of the Lin clan, she didn't know most of the people here. Having known Liang Mumu for so many years, Shi Yao had some understanding of the latter's personality. Liang Mumu was indeed a sociable person, but Liang Mumu was exceptionally sociable today. Raising her wine glass, she walked around the crowd in high spirits. She had a sense of propriety, and her smile was appropriate to the occasion. She looked like an elegant socialite, so it didn't take long for her to become the center of attention in the banquet hall. Even the distant relatives of the Lin clan standing around Shi Yao had gathered together to whisper about Liang Mumu, and their words were filled with compliments. The banquet hall was huge, but it was only that much. It was inevitable for Liang Mumu to get close to Shi Yao. Every time this happened, Liang Mumu's voice would be a little high, and Shi Yao could hear her words clearly. Of course, Shi Yao knew that Liang Mumu's actions were intentional. She was intentionally showing off to her so that she would know that the gap between them wasn't just a little. But to Shi Yao, Liang Mumu's little schemes were a little boring. No matter how outstanding Shi Yao's performance was, she wouldn't feel the slightest bit of jealousy or sadness. To her, no matter how dazzling Liang Mumu was, she wouldn't be able to outshine the meter-tall peach cake placed in the distance. Butter, coconut, chocolate, and all kinds of fruits. It's so tempting just by looking at it. Shi Yao had lost count of how many times she had glanced at the cake, but all of a sudden, the bustling banquet hall fell silent. However, she didn't pay attention to what was going on. Instead, her eyes were glued to the longevity peach cake. Chapter 382. It's rare for Grandpa Lin's grandson to appear at such events, so I thought that he was still young. But it seems like he's already an adult. I wonder if he's engaged yet. Our daughter seems to be around the same age as him. Don't even think about it. Grandpa Lin has already decided on his granddaughter-in-law many years ago. Under the gazes and discussions of the crowd, Lin Jiej surveyed the banquet hall with an impassive expression before his gaze finally fell on Shi Yao and Lin Jie. Compared to the others who were staring at him, these two were truly a refreshing sight. One of them was taking a selfie with her phone while the other was staring fixedly in a certain direction. Lin Jiej stared at the side of Shi Yao's face for a moment, but seeing that she was too focused on the banquet hall to notice anything amiss, he followed her line of sight, and when he saw his grandfather's birthday peach cake, a series of ellipses immediately surfaced in his mind. I can't even compare to a longevity peach cake. Lin Jiej sighed helplessly for a moment, but seeing that Shi Yao wasn't looking at him at all, he decided to just walk over to her. Along the way, there were quite a few people who greeted Lin Jiej. Other than the elders, there were also a few young and beautiful ladies. Out of courtesy, Lin Jiej responded to the greetings of the elders. As for the ladies who were looking at him with bright eyes and bashful gazes, he simply gave them an expressionless nod and walked past them. Even when he stopped by Shi Yao's side, the latter was still staring at the longevity peach cake. Other than pinching his peach blossoms and soft buns peach blossoms, he's even competing with a delicacy. Lin Jiej felt stifled for a moment before he shifted his body to stand in front of Shi Yao. With her gaze obstructed by the longevity peach cake, Shi Yao frowned slightly as a hint of displeasure surfaced on her face. Lin Jie, who was taking a selfie by the side, shot a glance at Lin Jiej due to the dim lighting and said, "Can you move aside a little? You're blocking my light, causing my selfie to look so dark." Noticing the change in Shi Yao's expression and hearing Lin Jie's words, "Lin Jiej, are the two of them looking down on me?" Lin Jiej pulled out the chair beside Shi Yao in frustration and sat down. After which, he turned to Shi Yao and asked, "What time did you arrive?" "A little past 5. After replying to Lin Jiej's question, Shi Yao's gaze drifted over to the longevity peach cake not too far away. There were even a couple of courageous ladies who came up to Lin Jiej to propose a toast. As if he hadn't heard their voices at all, Lin Jiej continued staring fixedly at Shi Yao's side profile as he asked, "Did the driver bring you here?" Without even sparing Lin Jiej a glance, Shi Yao replied with a nonchalant "mm." Lin Jiej didn't mind it at all. "The final exam is in a few days. How's your revision going?" When the two girls who came to hit on him saw this scene, they left in embarrassment one after another. Shi Yao finally turned to look at Lin Jiej and replied hesitantly, "Are you done with your revision?" Soft Bun was finally looking at him. Lin Jiej's mood immediately lightened up. He was just about to continue speaking when Lin Jie, who was seated beside him, suddenly spoke up, "Yao Yao, do you want to take a few photos with me?" "Sure." Shi Yao turned to look at Lin Jie. Lin Jiej glared at Lin Jie furiously. Chapter 383. Lin Jie wanted a few full-body shots, so she passed her phone over to Lin Jiej and said, "Help me take a few photos with Yao Yao." Lin Jie paused for a moment before adding, "I want a full-body photo." Without saying a word, Lin Jiej stood up with his phone in hand. Before taking the photos, Lin Jie was still worried about Lin Jiej's photographic skills, so she kept reminding him, "Remember to take a few more photos at once so that I can choose the best one. Also, when you take the photo, make sure my and Yao Yao's feet are touching the bottom of the photo, This way it will make our legs look longer and taller. Also, remember to turn on your beauty filter. In the face of Lin Jia's incessant commands, Lin Jie didn't say a single word at all. All he did was take a picture of the two of them with his phone. After taking about 20 or 30 photos, Grandpa Lin's birthday party began. Everyone stopped chatting and took their seats according to the nameplates on the tables. After the crowd quietened down, Old Master Lin stood at the front of the banquet hall and began to speak. As he spoke, the waiter began to serve the dishes. By the time the waiters were done serving the dishes, Grandpa Lin was almost done with what he had to say. He took the wine cup that Auntie Sun handed over to him and toasted everyone present. Next, it was time to eat. During this process, many people came to toast Old Master Lin and presented him with birthday gifts. Shi Yao, Lin Jie, and Lin Jie, who were seated at the same table as Grandpa Lin, also gave him their blessings and gifts. Liang Mumu was seated at the table behind Shi Yao, and she had been keeping an eye on Shi Yao the entire time. When Shi Yao passed the gift over to Grandpa Lin, Liang Mumu discreetly nudged the young lady sitting beside her. The young lady raised her head to look at Liang Mumu, only to see Liang Mumu raising her chin toward Grandpa Lin's table. Understanding Liang Mumu's intention, she quickly turned her gaze toward Shi Yao and Grandpa Lin's table, and after Grandpa Lin received Shi Yao's gift, she feigned a casual glance and said, "Grandpa Lin, aren't you going to open Yao Yao's gift to take a look?" Hearing those words, Shi Yao turned to look at the female student who had just spoken. She couldn't remember the girl's name, but she had an impression of her. She was one of the people who had spoken ill of her in the washroom the first time she went to Golden Resplendence with Lin Jie. He was also one of the people she saw with Liang Mumu on her birthday when she accompanied Lin Jie to the shopping mall to pick out a present for Lin Jie. Most likely, this question wasn't meant for her but for Liang Mumu, right? Just like back then at Golden Resplendence, those nasty words that she had said about her were also instigated by Liang Mumu, right? Grandpa Lin didn't think too much into it. After hearing those words, he immediately beckoned for Auntie Sun to help him open Shi Yao's gift. When he saw the inkstone inside, the smile on his face became even wider. Yao Yao's gift is really to my liking. Hearing Grandpa Lin's voice, Shi Yao immediately retracted her gaze from Liang Mumu and replied with a smile, "Grandpa Lin, I'm glad that you like this gift." "Old Master Lin, of course I like it. Whatever Yao Yao gives me, I will treat it like a treasure. I will use this inkstone to write a few words on it and give it to Yao Yao." Shi Yao's smile grew even more radiant. "Thank you, Grandpa Lin." Seated at another table, Liang Mumu looked at the smile on Shi Yao's face and listened to the conversation between Shi Yao and Grandpa Lin, and a cold sneer crept onto her lips. "I'll let you laugh for now, but I want to see if Shi Yao can still laugh after this." Chapter 384. I'll let you laugh for a while, but I'd like to see if Shi Yao can still laugh like that later on. However, it was all thanks to Shenbalian this time around. If not for her cooperation, she really wouldn't know how she could continue putting on this show. After all, there were some words that would be too obvious if she were to say them out loud. For example, her earlier request for Grandpa Lin to open Shi Yao's present. With this thought in mind, Liang Mumu leaned over to Shenbalian and whispered, "I'll need your help later on." Hearing Liang Mumu's voice, Shenbalian put down her chopsticks and said, "No problem. Just do what you need to do and leave the rest to me. Besides, I've never liked her in the first place. She's from an ordinary background, so how can she marry a better man than us?" The interlude where Shenbalian had Grandpa Lin open Shi Yao's present didn't catch anyone's attention, so it passed very quickly. Perhaps it was because Grandpa Lin liked Shi Yao, or perhaps it was because he really liked the inkstone Shi Yao had given him, but after opening the present, he actually placed the inkstone on the dining table instead of telling Auntie Sun to keep it away. Some of them were very shrewd. When they came to give their blessings to old Master Lin, they would notice the inkstone and deliberately flatter it. They would say the same thing over and over again, "Old Master Lin, this inkstone is not bad. Old Master Lin, who gave you this inkstone? It's obvious that they have good taste." These words seemed to have struck a chord in Grandpa Lin's heart. Even though he had heard it many times, he never grew tired of it. Instead, he would always reply with a smile, as if he was showing off his treasure, "This is a gift from Yao Yao. Yao Yao, this is my granddaughter-in-law. Isn't she beautiful?" Hearing Grandpa Lin's words, it went without saying that those who were praising the inkstone also started praising Shi Yao as well. Grandpa Lin didn't show the slightest signs of being overwhelmed by the compliments. In fact, he even raised his chin slightly with a haughty look that said, "Do I need you to tell me that? Don't you know whose granddaughter-in-law I am?" Lin Jiej, who was seated on Shi Yao's left, was in sync with Grandpa Lin's expression as well. He was eating his food elegantly, seemingly not paying much attention to Grandpa Lin's conversation with the others, but there was a prideful look on his face that said, "Do I need you to tell me that? Look at whose wife she is." Of course, Lin Jiej, who was seated on Shi Yao's right, wasn't idling around either. Whenever she heard someone praising Shi Yao, it was as if she had heard someone praising her. She would rush to reply with a humble tone, "I thank you on behalf of our Yao Yao." As Shi Yao's table was very close to Liang Mumu's table, Liang Mumu and Shen Balian were able to hear everything that Shi Yao and Shen Balian were talking about. Shen Balian couldn't help but feel a little indignant after hearing so much about Shi Yao. She walked up to Liang Mumu and started gossiping about Shi Yao, say, "Why does Grandpa Lin treat such an ordinary poor lass as his treasure? How is she worth it? Had old Master Lin's eyes gone blurry because of his old age? Why does he keep praising everyone he meets? How disgusting. There's also Sis Jai. She's the role model of our Beijing socialite circle. Even now, whenever the number one socialite is mentioned, she's the first person that comes to mind. Why does he dote on that ugly lass so much?" Compared to Shen Balian's rage, Liang Mumu was much calmer. She took a sip of the soup in front of her before replying, "It's just a struggle before death. There's no need to be so bothered by it." Chapter 385. It's just a deathbed struggle. There's no need to take it to heart. As she said those words, a hint of hostility flashed across her eyes. Yes, it's a deathbed struggle. I'll let her gloat for a moment. The more Grandpa Lin flaunts and praises her now, the more tragic her death will be. What is this called? Death by flattery. When it was nearing 8 o'clock, Auntie Sun stood up apologetically and stopped the people who were about to present Grandpa Lin's birthday present. At 8 o'clock sharp, the moment that Shi Yao had been looking forward to the entire night arrived, the moment when the birthday song was sung and the birthday cake was cut. There were too many people present, so even though the birthday cake was huge, it wasn't as big as everyone had expected. Thus, throughout the entire process of cutting and distributing the cake, Shi Yao's heart ached as if it was shedding a piece of flesh. In the end, when she saw that the cake had been distributed cleanly, she felt as if someone had stabbed a knife into her heart, and blood gushed out of it. It took a long while before she picked up her fork and started eating the cake in front of her. Grandpa Lin didn't like sweets, so he symbolically took a piece of cake with his fork and passed the rest to Shi Yao. As if she had just received a treasure, Shi Yao happily accepted the cake. Even her voice sounded sweeter than before, "Thank you, Grandpa Lin." In order to control her figure, Lin Jiai rarely ate high-calorie food at night. So, just like Grandpa Lin, she symbolically took a small piece of cake with her before passing the rest to Shi Yao. With another piece of cake in her hands, Shi Yao was even more delighted. Her smile was so bright that even her eyebrows were raised into the sky. "Thank you, Sis Jai. Seeing her reaction, Lin Jiej thought to himself, it's just 2 pieces of cake. Is there a need to be so happy? The next second, he pushed his untouched piece of cake to Shuyao and said, eat more if you like it. Having finished a piece of cake, Shuyao placed the empty plate by the side and took the piece of cake that Lin Jiej had passed to her. As she stabbed the cake with her fork, she gave Lin Jiej a radiant smile. Due to the food in her mouth, she didn't say a word. However, her action of taking the initiative to eat the cake had pleased him. In an instant, Lin Jiej's mood lightened up. The next moment, he turned to his parents, big aunt, and uncle who were seated beside him and asked, Dad, aren't you unable to eat sweets due to your high blood sugar level? I'll take this one away so that it won't go to waste. Also, Mom, aren't you on a diet just like Lin Jiej? So don't eat too much. Auntie, you're about to reach 100 pounds, right? You have to control your appetite. I'll take this cake for you. Uncle, I thought you didn't like to eat cantaloupe. Look, there's cantaloupe on your cake, so I'll be a good person and help you deal with this cake. It couldn't be helped. Soft Bun liked to eat, so he could only thicken his skin and help her snatch her food. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej took out the 4 plates of cake and arranged them neatly, waiting for Shuyao to finish her cake before feeding it to her. After cutting the cake, not long after, someone came to give old Master Lin a gift. Most of those present were juniors around the same age as Lin Jiej and Lin Jiej, so naturally, they didn't have as many restrictions on etiquette. Chapter 386. It would have been better if she hadn't flipped through the photo album, but as soon as she did, the short-tempered Lin Jiej flew into a rage. She abruptly slammed her palm on the table and threw her phone onto the table before turning around to glare at Lin Jiej. Her actions were so overbearing that she alarmed Shuyao, who was engrossed in eating her cake. Before Lin Jiej could spit out the word Lin Jiej through gritted teeth, she met Shuyao's dazed gaze. In an instant, the words that were already at the tip of her tongue couldn't come out. Even the furious expression on her face had turned into a faint smile. I can't be so violent. What if I scare Yao Yao? Lin Jiej tried her best to calm herself down. It wasn't until she finally managed to suppress the rage in her chest that she said to Shuyao, it's fine, it's fine. My hand trembled earlier, and I lost my grip on my phone, Shuyao replied with an, oh, before turning to Lin Jiej and telling her, be careful, sis Jiej. After which, she lowered her head and continued eating her cake. Lin Jiej waited until Shuyao's gaze had completely moved away from her before glaring at Lin Jiej viciously. After which, she picked up her phone and began sending Lin Jiej a WeChat message. I told you to take a photo of me and Yao Yao. Are you taking a photo of us together? Have you never been to school? Don't you know what a photo is? A photo is also known as a group photo. It refers to taking a picture together. You call this taking a picture together. Look at this photo. After sending that message, Lin Jiej selected a photo and sent it over to Lin Jiej. May I know where I am? And this photo, Lin Jiej selected another photo and sent it over to Lin Jiej. What kind of bullshit photo is this? Only my hand is exposed. Where's my face? Needless to say, the corner of my shirt is exposed, and this, a strand of my hair is exposed. If you don't know how to take photos, don't take them. Why don't you ascend to the heavens if your photos are so trashy? Lin Jiej sent a bunch of messages in a single breath. Seeing that Lin Jiej wasn't replying to her messages, she raised her head to look at him. His phone was placed on the table. He glanced at it from time to time, probably because the messages kept coming in, but he had no intention of replying. Along the way, Lin Jiej noticed Lin Jiej's gaze on him, and he shot a glance in her direction. However, he quickly retracted his gaze, treating her as air as he continued staring at Shiryao. After Shiryao finished her slice of cake, he pushed another slice of cake in front of her with a single hand. Seeing this sight, Lin Jie gritted her teeth in fury. Suppressing the urge to pummel Lin Jie to the ground, she picked up her phone and sent another message to Lin Jie. Lin Jie, stop playing dead. Lin Jie, if you're awesome, reply to my message. Lin Jie, I'm your mother. Lin Jie finally received a reply from Lin Jie. It was a screenshot. The screenshot was a message that Lin Jie had sent to their mother, Jiang Wangue. Lin Jie instinctively raised her head, and as expected, her mother was glaring at her sternly. Lin Jie steadied her temper and shot Jiang Wangue a smile. When Jiang Wangue finally shifted his gaze away, she began to pay her respects to all 36 generations of Lin Jie's ancestors before lowering her head to look at her phone. Chapter 387. Who cares if he has her in his eyes? Also, who is he flaunting his love for? As a woman who only has money in her eyes, she wouldn't care about such things. Choked by Lin Jie's words, Lin Jie closed her eyes. She took a deep breath, and then another deep breath, and then another. Eventually, she fell silent. Roughly 10 seconds later, her lips curled up into a bright smile. Little guy. Does he think that he can anger me just like that? With this thought in mind, Lin Jie picked up her phone and opened up a photo editing app. She then changed the photos that Lin Jie had taken of only Shiryao into better-looking filters. After she was done editing the photos, she picked out a few that looked the best, added a watermark, and sent them over to Lin Jie's WeChat. Isn't Yao Yao especially beautiful in the photos? Do you have the urge to remove the watermark and preserve it for a long time? I'm not an unreasonable person, so I won't do something like that. If you really want it, I can do it. 188 renminbi per photo. Seeing that Lin Jie wasn't responding to her, Lin Jie pondered for 2 seconds before changing her phone's wallpaper to Shiryao's photo and sent it over to Lin Jie. See, this can be used as my phone's wallpaper too. I'll be able to see Yao Yao as soon as I look at my phone. You're ignoring me. Does that mean that you don't want it? Alright then. Since you don't want to talk to me, I'll just delete all the photos. That way, I'll disappear from this world for good. It's rare for Yao Yao to put on makeup or wear a gown. It's rare for me to see such an exquisite Yao Yao. It would be a pity to delete them. After sending the message, Lin Jie went to her photo album and selected all of Shiryao's photos. After which, she sent the confirm deletion page over to Lin Jie. I'm really deleting them. Don't regret it. After sending the message, Lin Jie looked at his phone confidently and counted in his heart. 3, 2. Before he could even count to 1, a series of 188 RMBs had already appeared on her phone screen. Lin Jie's eyes gleamed as she received the red packets while counting the number of red packets. When she was done, she sent over a photo that had the same number of red packets and asked, "There are still 6 left. Are you sure you don't want them?" 30 seconds later, another 6 transfers of 188 yuan came in. After accepting the remaining 5 photos, Lin Jie sent them over to Lin Jie and said, "I'm sorry, I counted wrongly just now. There are only 5 photos left, so take the last 188 renminbi as payment for my free Photoshop for Yao Yao's photos." "Thank you, boss." He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen such a shameless person. Lin Jie sneered coldly in his heart. He was just about to reply to Lin Jie with a shameless when, before he could even touch his phone screen, he heard a familiar voice that left him feeling exceptionally uncomfortable. "Grandpa Lin, happy birthday." This is my birthday present for you. Instinctively, Lin Jie raised his head to look in the direction of the voice. It was Liang Juxi's cousin. With a flattering smile on her face, she presented a gift box to her grandfather. Grandpa Lin, I've picked this gift out for you. Do you like it? As she said those words, Liang Juxi's cousin opened the gift box. To be honest, Lin Jie really didn't care what gift Liang Juxi's cousin had prepared for him. So, he quickly retracted his gaze and continued watching Shiyao eat her cake. Chapter 388. But halfway through retracting his gaze, the gift that Liang Mumu took out from the corner of his eyes caught his attention. Liang Mumu's birthday present for his grandfather was also an inkstone. That inkstone was extremely similar to the one he had specially picked out for Soft Bun. To be more precise, if one didn't take a closer look, the resemblance between the two was as high as 100%. Lin Jie's gaze couldn't help but turn back to Liang Mumu. Liang Mumu took the inkstone with both hands and passed it over to Grandpa Lin. Then, with the same obedient and sweet tone as before, she said, "Grandpa Lin, I didn't intend to give you this gift from the very start because it clashed with Yao Yao's gift." Shiyao, who was engrossed in eating her cake, absent-mindedly raised her head upon hearing her name, and she stared blankly at Liang Mumu and Grandpa Lin. "Grandpa Lin, I didn't mean to clash my gift with Yao Yao's." Liang Mumu seemed to be placed in a difficult position. Halfway through her words, she abruptly paused. A moment later, she spoke up once more. "But Grandpa Lin, I still have to apologize to you. I hope that you won't take it to heart." Seeing this, Lin Jie couldn't help but click his tongue 3 times in his heart. Liang Juxi's cousin sure has good acting skills. Why doesn't she attend Beijing Film Academy instead? Oh, that's right. With her terrible grades, even if she were to become an art student, she probably wouldn't be able to get into Beijing Film Academy. On the other hand, Soft Bun. Even though she got all her math questions wrong, she was still able to get into G University. With this thought in mind, Lin Jie turned to look at Shiyao, only to see that the latter had actually stopped eating her cake and was staring at Liang Mumu. He couldn't help but frown. Then, he reached out to push her head down and said softly, "Eat your food. Don't look around." Shiyao pouted in response to Lin Jie's actions, but she didn't retort. She picked up her fork and continued eating her cake. "Why would I mind?" After hearing Liang Mumu's words, Grandpa Lin was at a loss for words. Thus, he turned to Liang Huiling and said, "Huiling, you've really taught Mumu well." Liang Huiling replied with a polite smile, "Don't mention it, Uncle Lin. Isn't it because Mumu likes you and is afraid that you'll be unhappy? She never acts like this at home." Old Master Lin smiled even more happily. No matter what the gift is, what's important is the thought. As he spoke, Grandpa Lin turned his gaze to Liang Mumu, ready to accept her gift. But barely after Grandpa Lin raised his hand a little, Shen Bailian suddenly spoke up, "Grandpa Lin, Mumu isn't just sensible, she's way too sensible. You might not know this, but Mumu respects you from the bottom of her heart. She saw this inkstone when we went out to play during the spring festival. Back then, she said that Grandpa Lin would like it, and she wanted to buy it as a birthday present for you. So, even if we were to bump into each other, it wouldn't be Mumu bumping into Yao Yao, but Yao Yao bumping into Yao Yao." Liang Mumu suddenly spoke up sternly, interrupting Shen Bailian's words, "Bailian, stop talking. It's all in the past. What's the point of saying this now?" "Oh. So this is the highlight of the show. She's using someone else's mouth to hint that Soft Bun didn't put much thought into her gift and stole her idea. Then, she would pretend to not pursue the matter and pretend to be a good person." Chapter 389. Perhaps it was because Liang Juxi's cousin had mentioned the word Yao Yao, but Shi Yao raised her head to look at the two of them once more. What was there to look at? Could they possibly be any better than me? Lin Jiej couldn't help but reach out to pat Shi Yao's cheeks lightly. If you don't want to eat this cake, I'll eat it. Hearing that Lin Jiej was going to snatch her cake, Shi Yao immediately lowered her head, shielded the cake with her hands, and began wolfing down the cake. Looking at Shi Yao's adorable table manners, Lin Jiej's eyes softened a little. He stared at her for a while longer before he finally lifted his eyes to look at the scene at the side. Shen Bailian looked indignant at Liang Mumu's rebuke. She still wanted to say something, but in consideration of Liang Mumu, she eventually relented in the end. Seeing that Shen Bailian had gone silent, Liang Mumu reverted back to her sweet self. She looked at Grandpa Lin with a look that seemed as if she was trying to resolve the matter peacefully before continuing. Grandpa Lin, don't listen to Bailian's nonsense. I bought this inkstone during the spring festival, and I was intending to give it to you as a birthday present. However, I believe that Yao Yao isn't like what Bailian said, intentionally bumping into my birthday present. Liang Mumu's acting as a good person really made him wish that he could buy a whole car of good person cards for her. Wait, no, it should be fake good person cards. Lin Jiej really couldn't stand watching Liang Mumu's performance anymore. He was just about to retract his gaze to look at Shi Yao when Grandpa Lin spoke up. Mumu, I know what you're saying even without you saying it. I know what kind of person Yao Yao is, and there's no way that she's intentionally bumping into your birthday present. It's clearly a coincidence. Hearing those words from his grandfather, Lin Jiej nearly burst into laughter. Grandpa, do you really have to ruin the show like that? She's clearly trying her best to hint at something, so how can you continue with your act? With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej reluctantly turned to look at Liang Mumu. As expected, the smile on Liang Mumu's face became a little less natural than before. Even her voice seemed to waver a little as she said, Grandpa Lin, you're right. Yao Yao isn't that kind of person. Actually, I only learned that Yao Yao was going to give you an inkstone a month ago. I wanted to change the present I gave you, but I haven't been able to find a suitable one, so I could only give you the same one. It's fine, it's fine. Grandpa Lin replied as he took the inkstone from Liang Mumu's hands. After which, he lowered his head to take a look at it before replying, not bad, out of politeness and perfunctorily. After which, he passed the inkstone over to Auntie Sun, gesturing for her to keep it. Compared to when Shi Yao had passed him the inkstone earlier, Grandpa Lin's current attitude was worlds apart. The displeasure and indignation in her heart made Liang Mumu grip her clothes tightly. She tilted her head slightly to look at the inkstone that Grandpa Lin had placed on the table, and she pursed her lips tightly before shooting Shen Bailian a meaningful glance. Sensing Liang Mumu's hint, Shen Bailian suddenly exclaimed in astonishment. Her voice was so loud that everyone in the first 2 rows of the banquet hall could hear her. Am I seeing things? The inkstone that Mumu gave Grandpa Lin is identical to the one that Yao Yao gave him. Chapter 390. She raised the inkstone to her eyes and examined it closely. Eventually, she brought it over to the inkstone Shi Yao had given her on the dining table and exclaimed, "Ah, these 2 inkstones are really identical. If that's the case, there's no doubt that one of them is the real one and the fake one. But Mumu, I was right in front of you when you bought the inkstone. You spent over 300,000 renminbi on it, so it's definitely the real deal." So, did Yao Yao give a fake to Grandpa Lin on his birthday? Grandpa Lin likes her so much, but she actually gave him a fake one. Furthermore, she's the fiancée of the Lin family, the future matriarch of the Lin family. To actually give her a fake, this is too. White Lotus. What are you talking about? Don't you know that this is Grandpa Lin's birthday party? Liang Mumu stomped her feet anxiously before reaching out to tug Shenbalian's sleeve in an attempt to stop her from spouting nonsense. Taking in this sight, Lin Jiej's expression turned a little cold. What are you pretending for? They had clearly agreed on this beforehand. If they really didn't want that White Lotus woman to say anything, they wouldn't have stopped her earlier. Why did they have to wait until everything was said before standing up to be the peacemaker? When Shenbalian fell silent, Liang Mumu discreetly shot a glance at Jiang Wangue. Just as she had expected, Jiang Wangue, who was a strong-willed and prideful woman, had a displeased expression on her face. She knew that she had achieved her goal and was secretly delighted. However, her expression was apologetic. Grandpa Lin, please don't be angry. I didn't know that this gift would be exactly the same. I only took a quick glance at Yao Yao's gift. I didn't think that it would be like this. White Lotus has always been straightforward with her words, please don't take it to heart. I apologize on her behalf. Moreover, the most important thing about the gift is the thought. Yao Yao has always been filial to you. Even if she bought a fake inkstone, she didn't mean anything else. After all, her family's financial situation is limited. Grandpa Lin really didn't mind it at all. Even if Shi Yao were to give him something that cost a RMB, he would still be happy. However, Liang Mumu's words had revealed far too much information. Just now, Shenbalian was so excited that her voice was very loud, attracting the attention of many people. Now, because she was apologizing, her voice was very loud. Almost everyone at the banquet was attracted to her. As such, even though Liang Mumu's words seemed to be very appropriate, it ended up attracting quite a bit of discussion from the crowd. In the end, the inkstone that old Mr. Lin had placed on the table to show off is a fake. Isn't this granddaughter-in-law a little too immature? He actually gave a fake gift. Judging from Miss Liang's words, old Master Lin's granddaughter-in-law doesn't have a good family background. Why would old Master Lin choose such a granddaughter-in-law for his grandson? No matter what, they have to be well-matched in social status, right? As the discussions grew louder and louder, not only did Jiang Wangue's expression turn ugly, but even the other relatives of the Lin clan also looked embarrassed and displeased. At this moment, Shi Yao really couldn't bring herself to continue eating the cake anymore. Chapter 391. Just like what she had discussed with Lang Wan, she thought that Liang Mumu was trying to tamper with the present she had bought. But from the looks of it, she was wrong. Or rather, she had underestimated Liang Mumu. From the start to the end, Liang Mumu had never thought of tampering with the inkstone she had bought. Liang Mumu knew that she was too poor to afford an expensive present, so she intentionally made use of her greatest weakness to lay a trap for her. It had to be said that Liang Mumu was indeed formidable. At the very least, her ploy had succeeded this time. How could an inkstone that she had bought with 200 renminbi be real? Most likely, Qin Iran was her informant when she appeared at the antique market back then, and Liang Mumu was probably there to ask the shop owner what kind of inkstone she had bought. On the other hand, Liang Mumu was using the appearance of the inkstone to buy the real one. In truth, Grandpa Lin wouldn't have minded whether she had bought a real inkstone or a fake one. Similarly, it wasn't too much for her to buy a fake inkstone either. It was just that she was the granddaughter-in-law of the Lin clan. Liang Mumu's actions had embarrassed the Lin clan. And the culprit who had embarrassed the Lin clan was her. If that was the case, Liang Mumu's ploy had really succeeded. The Lin clan would surely hate her to death. Even if Grandpa Lin, who doted on her, and Sis Jai, who had a good relationship with her, didn't mind it, the other members of the Lin clan might not. Putting aside the fact that her engagement with Lin Jiej was going to be annulled sooner or later, if she didn't, the Lin clan might very well cancel the engagement after this incident. But now that things had gotten to this point, the only thing she could do was apologize to Grandpa Lin. With such thoughts in mind, she turned to look at Grandpa Lin. She had clearly embarrassed the Lin clan and made Grandpa Lin's birthday unhappy, but there wasn't the slightest hint of blame in the depths of his eyes. Instead, they were filled with worry. She had always known that Grandpa Lin loved her from the bottom of his heart, but the sight before her still left her a little touched and a little sad. She squeezed the fork in her palm tightly and called out to Old Master Lin, "Grandpa Lin." But before she could even say, "I'm sorry," Old Master Lin said, "Yao Yao, it's fine. Grandpa doesn't lack money." Hearing Grandpa Lin's words, Lin Jie, who was seated beside Shi Yao, also chimed in, "That's right. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. What's important is the sincerity. Besides, let others say whatever they want. It's not our place to interfere, so it's fine, Yao Yao." It would have been better if Grandpa Lin and Lin Jie hadn't said anything at all, but their words made Shi Yao feel even more guilty and sad. She lowered her eyelids slightly and moved her lips again. She wanted to say, "I'm sorry," but just as she opened her mouth, before she could say a word, a piece of cake was sent into her mouth. She was stunned for a moment before she slowly turned her head around, only to see Lin Jie standing there, as if nothing had happened at all. Meeting her gaze, Lin Jie explained nonchalantly, "The fruit on the cake won't taste good if it's left out for too long." After saying those words, he stabbed another piece of cake into Shi Yao's mouth. This time, he raised his head to look at the people around him, who were either watching the show or watching the show. After Shi Yao finished the piece of cake that he had stabbed into her mouth, he casually asked, "How can you be so sure that Miss Liang's inkstone is real and Yao Yao's is fake?" You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.